Okay, now can you hear me? It was set to the wrong audio. It was set to a microphone that doesn't exist on this computer. Now can you hear me? Okay. Um, I was telling Lucy, I was trying to tell her to get over here and say hi to her friends. And I said, "Your friends are here." And she thought I meant at the door. So y'all didn't hear this because it had it set to the wrong audio. But y'all didn't hear this. But she's like barking at the door because I said, "Your friends are here." And she thought that that meant somebody was at the door. So she was at the door barking. "Your friends are here, not there. Here. Come say hi. They've been asking about you all weekend. Come on." No, not there. Here. These friends. Not those. She keeps looking at the door. Not those friends. These friends. Okay. You know what? We'll try again later. Now she thinks that somebody's here. She'll be here at some point when she realizes that it's not somebody at the door. Hello. Look, we're back in the studio. Everything's great. And since I didn't have internet all weekend, it made my life really hard because I still had to get the podcast and everything recorded. So I was having to I can do the podcast, I can record it on I have like the stuff on my computer to actually record it. I just can't upload it or anything. But I was having to research everything and do everything on my phone, which is probably why my eyeballs hurt so bad. So, and why I haven't been able to see anything today. Now I can see because now I've got all my big screens right here. So, it's been a doozy. It's been a doozy of a weekend. But Yard Cam is back. I didn't get it situated. I had my laptop where I took it downstairs, and my laptop is what I use for Yard Cam. So it took me an extra minute because I was trying to get it set up. So it's not like the perfect angle, but it'll do for now. We have a short stream today anyway. So what a day. So I have the trial day 3. I saw where now that I'm back in business, back online, I saw where y'all had tagged me and sent me where they said that they're not going to do court again until Monday. So we'll go ahead and watch this one now. While we're watching this, I'm going to email Dr. G and see if he's able to come on tomorrow instead. Y'all, give me this. Give me. What are you doing? She just went and picked up her little food bowl out of her thing. She's being bad today, y'all. She's being bad. So bad. So wait. Oh, I didn't restart my sounds. They're not working. You're lucky. You got lucky. You got really lucky this time. So I have the 3-hour stream that was from the other day, and we're going to watch it. And then I'm going to see if Dr. G can come on tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then we're going to do, he said he's pretty flexible this week. So hopefully either tomorrow or maybe, what's tomorrow, Wednesday? Or maybe Thursday morning. But with all of this stuff happening, I am also, I'm going to get some stuff together, and we're going to do us a little Murdoch stream too, with hopefully some familiar faces. I'm working some stuff out right now. So we're going to have, even though the Hollywood sex therapist murder trial is not going to be in for the rest of the week, we still have stuff to keep us busy. So, having said that, let's get started. She's mad at me for leaving her out of the stream early. She went, what are you doing? She's a bad dog. All right, let me get this shared. Entire screen, share audio. Oh my gosh, it feels good to be back on here instead of trying to look like this. Did I hear about Raven's? Did she get arrested again? I knew she got arrested because we pulled up her mugshot and everything from last year. Did she get arrested again? If so, I'm here for it. Sandra Oliver gifted a membership. Thank you so much. It went to Bridget. Is it Calderon? Calderon? Calderon. 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 Cauldron. I'll just say it every possible way. Bridget, welcome to the family. If my buttons worked, then I haven't got everything reset back up yet since my internet has been out all weekend. But if it did, then I would play my little button and it would say, did we just become best friends? Yep, but it's not working. So you just have to listen to me say it instead. Bridget, welcome. I'm so glad to have you as one of our best friends now. Welcome to the family. And Sandra Oliver, thank you so much for gifting that membership. Alrighty, so let's get started right now. Get started. Let's see, we'll do this one. That way we can see, let's see, brand. Get everything. I guess I could have taken an extra 15 minutes and got everything set up, but I was trying to hurry. All right. We ready? We ready? We ready?
Matter of People versus Pursehouse. The witness has retaken the stand. Just a reminder that you're still under oath. All right. Okay. Very good. You were examining?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if y'all remember, we look at him and his red mic. He is just on it, doggone it. I just think he's so snazzy. Real quick, if y'all remember where we left off, he is. What are we day? This is day 3, right? Yeah, day 3. So we have Michael back on the stand. This is the roommate.
Can we have the screen on?
The TV's on.
All right. Mr. Herman, well, that's, well, they're working on the TV. We left off where you heard something woke you up. Can you, just so we could go back in time, what woke you up?
A sound that I thought was a glass plate hitting the floor or breaking when it hit the floor.
And then the second time you woke up, what woke you up?
Amie screaming.
And how loud were her screams?
They were very loud.
And about how much time from the time you heard that glass breaking earlier on, about how much time passed to when you heard her screaming? Approximately.
I mean, probably around 4 hours. I'm guessing. I'm not guessing. I'm estimating.
So you hear the glass break at some point, and about 4 hours later, you hear her screaming.
Yes.
And could you tell what she was screaming?
It was just blood curdling, just screams. Like, yeah.
And so that woke you up.
Yes.
And so when, as you wake up, do you continue to hear the screaming?
Yes.
And where are you when you wake up?
On the couch in my bedroom.
Looking here at people's number 19C, is the window to the right of this photograph, is that part of your bedroom?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Looking at photograph D of this exhibit. Can you tell us what it's showing here?
It's showing my bedroom.
Okay, does it show the location where you were sleeping?
It does.
And where would that be?
That would be on the couch in the left corner of the
And
photo.
is that over here where you see some pillows and like a gray
Yep.
blanket or something?
Correct.
So you wake up, and as you wake up, do you continue to hear screaming?
Yes.
And what do you do at that point?
Takes me a minute. Kind of wake up and I really thought she saw a mouse or something, and I gradually get to the door, and I realize it's not stopping, and I yell up to her.
Now, when you say I get to the door, what door are you talking about?
The door to my bedroom at the base of the stairs.
So here on photograph people's exhibit number 19C, you see what appears to be a door open, and there appears to be a small hallway and then a staircase that leads up. Is that correct?
Yes.
So did you get to that area?
Yes.
And would your door be to the right of that?
Yes.
So as you walk to that little passageway in front of those stairs that lead up, is she still screaming?
Yes.
Are the screams the same or different?
They're the same the whole time.
Is it constant?
It was constant, yes.
And do you hear anything else other than screaming?
No.
Could you make out any voices?
No.
So what happens as you're standing there in that little passageway in front of those stairs?
I yell her name.
And you already yelled it, and what the words that you used were what?
Amie.
And you yelled it in the tone of voice you did yesterday?
Yeah, but louder.
Even louder than what you yelled here in court.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you say that?
Just because I don't think I've ever heard myself yell like that before.
How were you feeling in that moment when you're yelling out her name?
It's really hard to describe. It was really like shock, adrenaline rush, kind of can't believe this is really happening, kind of.
And so after you, when you yell out Amie, is Amie still screaming?
She is when I yell it out.
And how about after you yell it out? What happens? After after you yell out her name, what happens?
I hear what sounded like two people hitting the floor, like somebody taking somebody else down.
Object to this, calls for speculation. You describe the sound.
Well, you said it sounded like if two people were hitting the floor. Is that what you said? Is that
Like
what you-
somebody, yes, like when somebody takes another person down.
Okay, I'll allow it. That's what it sounded to you like that.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what it sounded to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so when you hear that sound of, it sounds like someone was taken down, do you hear screaming at the same time?
That's around the time I hear it get muffled.
What does that mean around that time it gets muffled?
It sounded like her mouth was being covered.
And why would you say that?
Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Well, I'm not so sure that her or whatever, but it's when you say his next question was, and I'll reserve my ruling. Why would you say that? What makes you conclude that it sounded like someone's mouth was being covered?
Because it was like the sound of somebody screaming and then screaming through something, like the level, the sound changed as if what it would sound exactly like if you put my hand over my mouth.
Okay, I'll allow it to stand.
Okay. So that's how it sounded to you,
Yeah.
as if someone was covering her mouth.
Yes.
And so at that point, did you hear any more screaming from Amie?
On and off.
Was the screaming as loud as before, or was it different?
It was different.
How so?
It was sounded like it was being muffled.
And so for how long did that go on where she sounds like she's being muffled to you?
It's hard for me to remember exact times because, yeah.
What would be your best estimate? Just, was it seconds? Was it a minute? If you even know.
Well, she got choked, or I heard choking also for a minute.
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
That part of the court was the same.
Right. Well,
Motion to strike.
Straight.
you were not up there, were you?
Disregard.
No,
Sorry?
The jury's to disregard.
They know that whenever I strike something, you're to disregard it, not consider it. Okay. I
Could
told
you-
that before.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you see what was happening up there?
no, I couldn't.
Could you see what was being done to Amie up there?
No.
So can you tell us what you heard
Yes.
as far as sounds? So what else did you hear?
I heard her choking.
Objection, Your Honor. Again, it calls for speculation.
Okay, sustain as phrased. now, if he heard what sounded like someone was choking, that's different.
When you say, what exactly do you mean when you say, like, that she was she sounded like she was choking? What do you mean by that?
Objection that the state police's testimony.
Well, again,
Misleading.
overruled. You said, did it sound like someone was choking?
It did. It sounded like someone coughing strenuously.
Okay, so with respect to her choking and so forth, I will sustain it with respect to that. I'll leave it as the way you characterized it now.
All right.
Go ahead.
So you said it sounded like someone was coughing, or
Yes,
like she was
yes.
like she was coughing.
Yes.
So at that point, she's no longer screaming.
Right.
And how long does that go on? Where it sounds like she's coughing.
That ended pretty quickly. And that actually might have been the point where I started hearing her screams and stuff get muffled.
And where were you when you're hearing all this? Bless you.
I'm still in the doorway of my bedroom.
Are you here looking at photograph C of 19? Are you right here on the little hallway landing? Are you on the step? Are you outside of the door towards the patio?
I'm standing like in the door frame, looking up.
I'm going to object as vague as to which door frame.
All right, let's clear that up.
When you say, which door frame are you talking about?
The door frame to my bedroom, it would be on the right through this picture.
Okay, so you're even more inside. You're by this little hallway next to the stairs.
Yes.
Do you say or do anything at this point when you're hearing what sounds to you like Amy's choking?
That's when I started looking for my phone.
What do you say anything or do anything else?
I spend probably the next 4 or 5 minutes jockeying between my bed and the doorway, trying to hear if I can hear what's going on, if anybody's coming, and while jockeying back, looking for my phone, just back and forth.
Now, when you say 4 to 5 minutes, is that your time estimate?
That's an estimate.
You got to let me finish.
Sorry.
Is that the time estimate in your brain that you think that's how long it all took?
Yeah.
Do you ever yell anything else to either Amy or the person or whoever's up there with her?
Before I leave.
And what is it that you yell?
Hey, motherfucker.
Well, can you yell it the same way you yelled it that morning?
Probably not, but I can try. I
Go
can
ahead.
yell it. Hey, motherfucker.
And why did you yell that?
In my head, I planned to run out and try and get help because I couldn't find my phone. And I thought that maybe it would just be a distraction, that he would be worried about me in the house. And I hoped to quietly go out, that he would still be, that he would leave her alone, be more worried about me, was what was going on in my head.
I'm going to object to the characterization as he, since he did not, Mr. Herman did not see anybody.
All right, just say.
Okay. Well, can the answer stand, or does the court want me to ask that again?
Why don't you ask it?
Okay. All right. Without indicating whether it's a he or a she up there that's doing this to Amy, just a person. What did you believe by yelling, "Hey, motherfucker"? What did you believe would cause? What did you believe would happen if you said that?
I thought it would distract him,
Well,
or the person from her that I believed was in there.
And did you have any weapon on you at this point?
No,
Did you have any weapons in your room?
I had some small knives.
In that moment, were you able to were you able to grab any of those knives?
I debated it.
Why didn't you run upstairs to help Amy?
Because I mean, you want me to really go through why? I mean, it was a whole thought process.
Yes. Why didn't you go
Okay.
up there and help Amy?
Your Honor, this calls for a narrative.
You can answer that.
Okay. I really thought that somebody needed to know. My plan was to have the cops on the phone and walk up there with the phone on speaker. And I was worried. I'd had sciatica recently, and I just knew I wasn't in fighting shape.
What is sciatica?
It's where you have a pinched nerve and can't stand up. I mean, I got pulled out of a hotel room on a stretcher.
So why else didn't you go and run up there to help her?
I really was worried that if both of us were going to end up dead and that nobody would know.
Why did you think you would end up dead?
I just didn't know what I was facing. I assumed somebody, whoever was going through all that trouble. I grew up in gun culture. I couldn't imagine somebody.
This is, the scope of the-
So overruled, let's go into his thought process as to why he did not go, aside from being not in shape. You felt that if you went up there that you would also die or be hurt.
Yes,
Okay.
Can you complete your answer as to why you thought you would also be killed if you went up there?
I couldn't imagine anyone going through that without having a gun. I couldn't picture it.
So that was in your head.
Yes.
And did you have any gun on you?
No.
And after you yelled
Happy anniversary, Kelly Gale.
that statement of, what was the language exactly that you used?
Hey, motherfucker.
Hey, motherfucker. What happened? Did anything happen when you said that? Upstairs, I'm talking. Could you hear whether anything happened upstairs when you said that?
I couldn't hear anything.
Could you hear her screaming when you said that?
That's an answer.
Overruled, not at the point where he said that. So that's a different question.
Intermittently.
Huh?
Intermittently.
So
But it was, yeah, not as much then. It got really quiet, which was really like creepy. Like also,
you keep putting your hand on your face. Is there a reason for that?
no,
Are you nervous?
it just itches and nervous. Yeah.
Bad for him.
Were you scared at that moment?
Oh, it was like a mix of adrenaline and fear. It's really hard to describe what I was feeling.
So after you yell, hey, motherfucker, what happens?
I go out the back door and close it.
And when you say the back door, is that what's shown here on people's 19C?
Yes.
This is 19A. Can you tell us, where do you go?
I run around. If you're facing the back of the house, what would be the right of the house?
So let me see if I point, would that be where I'm pointing my finger here on this exhibit, which would be, if you're looking at this photograph, the right of the house?
Yes.
And what is there in that location to the right of the house?
Like a alleyway.
So like a passageway in the home?
Yeah. Not in the home, but around the home.
And where does that lead to?
The front of the house.
And what's in the front of the house?
Like a front patio.
Looking at people's exhibit number 18. This is just a 3D, just for reference, okay? With the patio on this photograph, if you're looking at it, this is a facing the sun, like from the street, looking straight at the front of the house, correct?
Yes.
And over here to the left, is that the area that you're talking about, the passageway?
Yes.
And then there's a center courtyard?
Yeah. Yes. Front patio. Yeah.
And then what's there in the center courtyard?
Just some furniture and a gate.
Is that the gate? You can see a gate door right here where I'm pointing to?
Yes.
Okay, it appears to be like a black gate.
Yeah.
When you got to that area, was the gate open, or what was the condition of the gate?
It was locked.
And so, did you run from where you heard Amie went from screaming to muffled? Did you run to the front of the house, or did you walk? How did you get to the front of the house?
I ran as fast as I could.
And when you got to the front area of the house, did you notice anything at that point?
Yes,
What did you notice?
that the gate was locked.
Did you notice anything related to the French doors that are by there?
No,
Why not?
because I was running and trying to get over the fence with my momentum as fast as I could.
And so how did you get over the gate?
I climbed over it somehow. Like, I don't remember the exact specifics because I was just so,
And is part of the gate a wrought iron?
I think almost most of it is.
And as you're climbing this wrought iron gate, does anything happen to you?
Yeah, I get cut up and a few puncture wounds.
Where did you get cut up?
On my stomach, my hand, my arm, in my crotch area, on my legs.
And why did that happen?
Getting over the point, the spikes part of the wrought iron gate.
So did you go up that gate pretty quickly?
Yeah, yes, I did.
I have a 2-page document showing Mr. Michael Herman, the issue marked people's next in order, people's number
You're at 20.
20,
Is it A and something?
20A and B.
Right.
And here at 20A, you recognize the individual depicted in that photograph?
Yes, it's me.
And are you wearing the clothing you were wearing at the time that you climbed over that gate?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
The clothing you're wearing on this photograph, is this the same clothing you were wearing at the time you climbed the gate?
Yes,
How do you know that?
because it's got holes in it.
Looking at photograph B. You recognize what's shown there?
Yes,
What is that?
that's my stomach.
Well, I understand that, but it appears to depict some type of injury, correct?
Yes,
When did you sustain that injury?
when I was climbing over the gate.
Okay, can you describe that injury?
It was like the tip of the wrought iron gate going into my stomach and then like scraping around. As I climb over it, kind of made a hook.
So yeah. Now, as you're on the gate, are you able to hear anything coming from the home?
No,
You don't hear her screaming?
no.
And so after you climb over the gate, where do you go?
To the next door neighbor's house
Why?
because we had just met him and I was trying to get to a phone.
And I have a DVD with the name Michael Herman, has labeled 2 ring videos for 2080 Mound and 2 911 calls dated February 15, 2020. May this be marked people's next in order. Number 21.
21.
And I have a transcript for 1 ring video, which cannot be marked as 21A.
Yeah.
And I have a transcript for a 911 call dated February 15, 2020, approximately 1:11 a.m. May that transcript be marked as 21B?
They're all on the same DVD?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have another transcript for a 911 call dated February 15, 2020, approximately 1:18 a.m. May that be marked as people's number 21C?
Yes.
And I provided court and counsel copies of these transcripts. May I publish the transcript to the jury?
Yes.
So there should be, everyone should have 3 transcripts.
Right.
It's going to be a 1:11 a.m.,
Are you talking about the 911 call?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then,
and 118,
118, and then there's gonna be a ring surveillance transcript.
all right.
I'll give you an extra copy. So everyone should have 3 transcripts. One transcript is just one page with, it has 2 sides to it.
Ow. He just looks like, never mind. Oh, I didn't tell you all about all the previous information. I'll go over that in a little bit.
You're on the last transcript, right?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Passing out the last transcript.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're supposed to have 3,
Everyone's supposed to have 3 transcripts.
but it's making its way down there,
Yeah.
down here.
Just pass it back. Extras just get passed around. We should just pass all the extras around. We should just let the extras get passed around. Just pass them around. If you already have, please just pass them around.
This is like in school, you know, where like there was like take one worksheet and pass them around. Icky. That's a good word. Slimy.
Anyone missing 111?
You all have 3 transcripts?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
I want pizza.
very good. All right, Counsel.
My
I'm
kids.
going to show the ring camera video at this time, Your Honor.
That is the 1 page back and front?
Yes.
All right,
One of the 2080 Mountain videos has sound. The other one doesn't. That's why we only have transcript for 1 ring video.
all right.
Ooh, taco pizza does sound good. All right, so this is the ring cameras from where he went to the neighbor's house.
Do you see the timestamp at the bottom right corner?
Yes.
That timestamp shows about 1:08 in the morning and some seconds. Does that appear to be around the time that you went there?
Yes.
And is that you on the video?
Yes.
And how are you feeling at that point when you're knocking on that door?
A little defeated and just really stressed out.
Why do you say I feel defeated?
Because first of all, I couldn't find my phone, and then
Where did you leave your phone?
in my room,
Did you take any keys with you out of your room?
no.
So why didn't you take your phone or your keys out of your room before leaving?
Well, I couldn't find my phone. I wasn't thinking about keys by the time I was leaving.
And so you knock on this door and does anybody respond?
No.
Let me play the second ring video clip. This one will not have a transcript. On that ring video, it appears that you leave that area, that particular home, and where do you go?
Across the street to another neighbor's house
And why did you do that?
because I thought they might be home and I had met them.
And looking here at people's number one, does that show the area where that other home's located?
Yes.
If it does. Does it?
Yes.
Can you point with your finger where that would be?
This house here.
So it's the house right in front of 2078 Mountain Street.
Yes.
And so did you have to go through a gate or how did you get to that other house?
I had to go through a gate.
Did you have to, was it locked? What did you have to do to get past the gate?
Just open the gate and walk through.
And what did you do at that point?
I rang the first doorbell, which I realized didn't make any sound, and then realized there was a second doorbell to the right and rung that and heard it make a sound.
And then what happened?
Nothing.
Did anyone respond?
They did not.
How did you feel at that point after you knocked on the second house and no one showed up?
Really worried
Why?
because I knew time was ticking. I was worried what was happening to Amie.
So what did you do next?
I actually was looking around potentially for a rock to throw through a window because I felt they were home and maybe just ignoring it because it was so late. And then I saw somebody walking up the street listening to headphones.
Can you describe this person?
Yeah, it was a black guy walking up the street, taller than me.
Pizza. I'm going to order
Yeah.
pizza.
And was this on Mound Street?
Yes,
And did you approach this person?
yes.
And what did you do or say?
I asked him if he could call the police.
And what did he say?
He said yes, or yes.
Did he let you borrow his phone?
Yeah. I was going to say, really, I think I'd asked him if I could call the cops, or I can't remember if he could call the cops, but I remember I was scared at first because I one of the things I kept thinking was there could be more than one person, and maybe this is someone involved. So I was really standoffish. I made him call the cops, and I realized pretty quickly, okay, he's cool, and took the phone from him. I was scared to get too close to him at first.
And where were you when you borrowed the phone from this gentleman?
Right in front of pretty much right, catty corner, right in front of this house, but towards
When
the
you say
side.
this house, these houses have numbers on them. Can you tell
Yeah.
us which one?
Well, I was right in front of, it was right here, right in front of this house across the street.
Okay, so you're talking about the
Yeah,
house in
that
front
side.
of 2078, across the street from 2078.
Yes. Yeah.
And from that distance, at this point, when you're with this gentleman, are you able to hear any sounds from Amy's house?
No.
And how much time has passed? How much time could you estimate has passed from the time you left Amie at the house to when you're now talking to this gentleman about borrowing this phone? Approximately.
I would estimate maybe in between 5 and 10 minutes. It's the best I can estimate.
Does he immediately let you borrow his phone?
Yes.
And is 911 called?
Yes.
Going back to People's Exhibit number 21, I'm going to play the first 911 call, which is 1:11 a.m. And as you were hearing the audio, and I'm going to give you a copy of the transcript and have you read along and ask you some questions, Mr. Henry.
I want to reduce the field, I don't want any more.
So this is back my roommate, we're at 2806 Mount Street.
So you said you need a paramedic.
I don't know, I just haven't run out of the house, I couldn't call find my phone, I couldn't find a weapon, I couldn't find anything.
How was the assaulted? What happened?
I don't know, I was downstairs, I heard screaming, please get a cop here.
Okay, now you ask any questions, okay, it's very important. What exactly happened? You did
You're a
not
son of a bitch. What?
Are you ready to answer my questions, sir?
Are you? Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Did you see anything?
No.
Okay, so
No, I
what did you hear?
heard her screaming and I heard her being,
All right,
He
so
is
I'm gonna say that
freaking out.
somebody's screaming, okay, since you didn't see anything. You don't know if she's being attacked, you're not sure.
yes, I know you've seen her, I heard her got thrown to the ground.
Okay, all right, so 2086 Mount Street, is that a house
Yeah.
or an apartment, sir?
It's a house.
Okay. And this is who's screaming inside?
Let me pause it at 1 minute and 5 seconds. Now here, you tell the 911 operator that on line 19, I heard her screaming and I heard her being, what were you gonna say?
Objection calls for speculation.
What, do you know what you were gonna say, sir? Do you have a recollection of what you were gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say choking.
What?
Where it says, I heard her screaming and I heard her, actually, I was being attacked.
What?
I heard her being attacked. I don't know for sure, no, what I was gonna say. I can't complete that thought. I mean, I know generally, but I don't know the exact word I was gonna use.
Well, you don't have to tell us the exact words, but what was your thought at that point, if you remember?
Objection irrelevant.
This thing, let's move on, guys.
Looking at line 23, where you say, I know she was being attacked, I heard her getting thrown to the ground. Is that what you remember happening that night?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can't even think right now. Amie Harwick,
Who is she to you, sir?
she's my roommate.
Okay. And she's screaming for help?
Yes,
Okay. All right, and your name?
Michael Herman.
And what is your callback number, Michael?
I don't have my phone, this is somebody else's phone.
Okay, would it be okay to contact you back at this phone?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right. And so you're also hearing somebody hitting her, is that correct?
Yes, I heard something like that, yes.
Okay.
She wouldn't answer.
I'm gonna pause it at 1 minute and 40 seconds. Right here on line 12, when the operator.
Happy anniversary, Megan
Somebody hitting her, is that correct? And you say, yes, I heard something like that. What did you mean by that?
Well, I'm thinking when she got choked and thrown to the ground.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was yelling up there.
Okay, so I'm just gonna send out as her screaming, okay, since we don't
This
know
poor
what is
guy,
going
he
on.
is struggling.
Yes,
All right, and where are you gonna be, so you can direct
I'm
me
right
to
up
her?
front, I'm right up front.
Are you black, white, Hispanic, or Asian, so they know who to look for?
What now?
Are you black, white, Hispanic, or
White.
Asian? Okay, and what color shirt will you have on?
White.
Okay, that way they can find you, okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Michael. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Looking back at page 2, where you said, line 13, you said, my God, I'm gonna hang up on this bitch. Why did you say that?
I felt really defeated and I just wanted somebody there quick. I knew something was really wrong.
Did you feel that the operator was believing what you were saying?
No, and it was again part of just feeling defeated, like here we go again, you know.
Now we're gonna play the second. Now, after you make that 911 call, what happens?
I go to the house and I'm starting to yell up to the window,
You go up to which house?
Amy's house.
And so are you in front of your house?
Yes.
Okay. Are you right outside the gated area?
Yes, I'm in the driveway right up front.
By the way, could you see if there are any lights on the 3rd floor?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, there were lights on the 3rd floor.
On which?
On the 3rd floor into that media room area.
You could see that the light.
Yeah, I was trying to look in from the driveway. I was backing up and trying to get an angle to look through to see if I could see her.
Could you see anything as the lights were on the 3rd floor in that media room?
No,
Do you know if the lights appeared to be on in the mid-level, in like the living room area?
honestly, I can't remember.
Okay. And so you said you were in front of the house, and what did you do?
I was yelling up to Amie.
Can you use the same language you used that night, if you remember, here in the courtroom? What were you yelling at this point to Amy?
I was just yelling her name, like trying to get her attention and see if she stood up and where I could see her.
Well, can you do it the way you did it that night? I know, try your best.
I was just yelling like, Amie, Amie. Yeah.
Did you get any response?
No,
Did anyone respond from within that house?
no,
So then, could you hear her screaming or being choked, anything like that?
no.
And so about how long does that go on before something else happens?
I guess a few minutes, and then I think I called 911 again after that.
Why did you do that?
It just, to me in that moment, it felt like an eternity
And what was your intention in calling 911 again?
to hurry them up.
Have the second 911 call. This is better to read along. I want to see. I'm going to play that now.
February 20, 2020, 01:18 and 12 seconds.
911 emergency operator 609. Yeah, I'm wondering why it's taking the cops so long to get here. You provide the address, I can look it up. 2086 Mound Street.
01:18 and
It's absolutely incredible.
22 seconds.
Has something changed since you originally called? What now? What? Has anything changed since you originally called? Yes, she's not answering. Like I'm outside her fucking window yelling. Nobody's answering. You guys need to get a cop here quick. Sir, the officers are on the way. I'm asking if I can update them.
22 seconds.
So there, in that 911 call, on line 9, you're saying that she's not answering
Yes,
and that you're yelling at the window.
yes,
And is that what when you're saying yelling at the window, is that what you described a few moments ago here in court?
yes.
And how soon after that 911 call ends do police officers arrive at 2086 Mound Street, approximately?
I think maybe 5 minutes or less.
And what happens when the police arrive?
They get out of the car, and I'm explaining to them that we'll need to climb over the fence to get in the house.
And how's your state of mind at that point when you're talking to the police officers?
I thought I wasn't in shock. I was talking to myself, but like it, and looking back at my videos, and I was really amped up, like just really, really amped up.
So have you been able to watch body-worn video from the police officers
Yes,
showing you on the body-worn video?
yes.
And so what do you tell the officers? Do you suggest to the officers to do anything?
To climb over the fence.
You do not have keys to unlock that gate?
No,
And where were your keys to unlock that gate?
in my room.
And so do you have to climb back over that gate?
Yes.
And do the police officers climb over that gate?
Yeah, they climbed over the fence area. More of the fence. I climbed over the gate for some reason.
And then what happens?
We walk around the house and go around back of the house. And
Let me ask you something before we get to that. When you left your room and then ran out to the front, was Amie Harwick anywhere on your patio at that point when you left?
no,
So now that you're coming back, do you make it back to the patio area with the police officers?
yes.
And what do you see when you turn the corner and see the patio?
At first, I wasn't sure what I was looking at, but it was Amie.
And how would you describe her condition?
Really bad.
What does that mean?
She was struggling to breathe. Her eyes were bulging.
Was she talking?
No,
Did you touch her at all?
I couldn't get too close to her. The officers were kind of directing me.
And how did you feel at that moment?
Beyond defeated, just to me, in my mind, like every decision I made, like the worst case scenario just unfolded. Like I can't describe how I felt. Like there aren't words.
At that time, did you try to provide officers as much information about what you heard that night prior to seeing Amie on the patio? Is that too long of a question? Maybe.
Can you rephrase?
Did the officers ask you about what happened?
Yeah. Yes.
And did you try to tell them to the best of your ability what you had heard that night, that morning?
Yes. My best ability at the time.
Did you tell them that Amie Harwick was afraid of an ex-boyfriend?
I did.
Did you see paramedics arrive at that location at the back patio?
Yes.
Did you see them attend to her?
Yes.
Were you still there when her body was taken away to the
Yes.
hospital?
Yes.
And how long did you remain at the house where you were living at before you were taken somewhere else?
I don't know exactly how many hours, but by the time I left, it was daylight.
Did you show some detectives what happened that night there?
I did. I did.
Did you tell them where you were when you heard things happen?
Yes.
I don't know how I would
And
react.
did you tell detectives, to the best of your ability, what happened that night, that night and that morning?
Yes.
You can hear when they play the body cam, they don't show it.
And you
thank
previously
goodness, but you can
testified at a
hear how
preliminary
hard it is
hearing?
on him.
Yes.
Where you were asked questions by the prosecution and the defense?
Yes.
And did you answer it to the best of your ability?
Yes.
Now, as far as what you do for a living, what you were doing for a living at that time, you were selling products, is that correct?
I was kind of selling some products in an intermediary for companies looking for product,
What kind of products were these?
sex toys.
And where would you sell them?
Well, that's it. I would more work between the retailers and the manufacturers.
And do you have a 1995 felony conviction for possession for sale of marijuana?
Yes.
How old were you back in 95?
20 or 21.
Had you ever met the defendant who's here in court, Gareth Pursehouse, before?
No.
After Amie was taken away by the paramedics that day, did you ever see her again?
No.
I have nothing further on.
Cross-examination.
Thank you.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. I do have a follow-up question.
Good.
Looking here at People's Exhibit number, next in order, People's number 22, photograph showing some French doors. Photograph A. Do you recognize what's shown there?
Yes.
Just getting out of the way.
Those
Yeah.
are French doors leading into the living room.
Yes.
I'm going to show you another photograph.
Don't we all have a 1995 marijuana conviction? Let's be honest. I'm just joking. I was in
Here, a photograph. You see
Elementary
what's
school?
there?
middle school.
Yes.
You see what appears to be some damage there?
Yes.
Was that damage there before that morning?
No.
Looking at people's next in order, this would be a document with 4 photographs showing a statue made. This is my people's next in order, number 23.
Yes.
Looking at photograph 23A. You recognize what's shown there?
Yes.
What is that?
It's like this Hindu statue.
And is this next to the fence that divides the property, looking here at People's One, between 2086, where you live, and 2078?
Yes,
Is this towards the back of the patio
it is.
of your, where you live?
Yes.
Looking at photograph 23B, is that a close-up of that statue?
Yes.
Looking at photograph, well, does this statue appear to have various arms?
Yes.
See that? Looking at photograph 23C, and is that the lower part of the statue?
It's an arm off the statue.
You see that there where there's a photo ID number 9.
Yes.
And looking at photograph D, which is a close-up of that, do you see that there?
Yes.
And this is next to the fence, correct?
Correct.
And so, had you seen that before, that arm had been broken from that statue before
No.
that night?
No.
I have nothing further.
All right, Counsel?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Herman. Good morning. So you had lived with Amie starting in October of 2019, is that about right?
Roughly. I don't remember the exact month, but yeah, roughly.
Okay. And you got to meet Amie through your friend Robert Coughlin,
Yes.
and you previously lived with Robert Coughlin before moving in with Amie.
I did.
And how long did you live with him?
Special relevance?
He's gonna be a witness, is he?
Yes.
I don't know.
Little over a year.
So when you moved in October, you were traveling to China that month in October.
Yeah, I believe so.
So out of the 3.5 months that you lived there, you were traveling about 50% of the time?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. And you lived on the bottom floor of this 3-story home, is that correct?
Correct.
So separating your floor, which was the bottom floor, and the area upstairs where Amie's bedroom and the media room were, there was a living area separating those 2 floors, is that
Yes.
correct? And on the living area, there was a living room, a dining area, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a desk area?
That's all on that second floor.
Yes. And the stairway that leads up from your level to the living room area, that kind of divides the house down the middle.
I guess roughly.
And so above your bedroom would be the kitchen, dining room area.
Yes.
And Amie's bedroom would be above the kitchen, dining room area.
Yes, roughly.
Okay. Now, when you were talking yesterday and describing the floor plan of the house, there were a couple of rooms that you discussed. And just to be clear, the laundry room that is adjacent to your bedroom area and the bathroom that you have, is that accessible from inside the house?
It's not.
And the garage that's in the front of the house, 2-car garage,
Yes.
is that accessible to the inside of the house?
No.
All right, so when you leave the garage, you have to go around the front of the house to get inside through that wrought iron gate. Is that correct?
Or you could go around to the backside to the left too, but yes.
And when you would come home, which way would you usually go back into the house?
Well, I didn't drive, so I just would walk through the front gate.
So you go through the front gate?
Yeah.
And what about Amy's practice? Would she usually go in through the front gate too?
Usually,
And that front gate had to be locked with a key?
it didn't have to be, and it wasn't a lot.
Well, okay, so if you wanted to lock it, you needed a key.
Yes.
Okay, but it wasn't locked a lot.
Right. I mean, if you wanted to lock it, you needed a key, but it had a latch. I mean, it was like a doorknob.
Okay, so it was not routinely locked.
It was at night. We had gotten in the habit of leaving it open during the day for Amazon packages. And then in the routine of the last person in would lock it.
And do you remember saying previously at any point that Amy used to sometimes forget to lock that gate?
Yes.
They got the time.
What period are you talking about?
Do you recall saying that on February 15th, 2020?
I don't remember when I said it, but I vaguely remember saying it.
So it would be a true statement to say that Amy often or sometimes forgot.
Yes.
They got the time period.
Well, he lived there for a 5-month period, so in the 5 months,
Yes, in the time you lived there.
yeah,
Sure.
a lot of it.
Thank you. All right, so when this incident happened and the first police officers arrived, you were very agitated, is that correct?
Yeah, I guess. It's real hard to describe how I was feeling.
Was it a combination of a lot of feelings?
There's a lot of adrenaline. Yes.
Would you say you were fearful?
Yes.
Would you say you were frustrated?
Yes.
Was part of your frustration the feeling that no one was taking your explanation seriously?
That was a part of it.
And that included the 911 operator?
Yes.
And did you feel that same way when the first police officers arrived?
A little. Yeah, at first.
Did you feel that you needed to motivate them to take this seriously?
A little.
Did you feel like did you remember actually getting so frustrated with them that you cursed at them and walked away from them?
I don't remember that.
All right, let me ask you something. Before coming to court yesterday to testify, you said you got to look at some video.
Yes.
So let me just ask you what you did to prepare for your testimony at this trial.
I'm gonna object this argumentative.
Overruled, not a lot.
Did you talk to the prosecutors in preparation for your testimony today?
Yes.
And when did you do that?
I guess yesterday.
And did you speak with Mr. Avila?
Yes.
And did you also speak with his co-counsel?
No.
Did you speak with the detectives?
Yes.
Which detectives?
I'm sorry, I forget your name.
Detective Carranza?
Yeah.
Did you speak to any other detective?
No,
Did you read any transcripts?
I did.
Do you know how many transcripts you read?
I don't. There's only a couple.
Did you read your testimony from the preliminary hearing?
I believe I did.
And did you read transcripts of any of the body-worn video?
No.
Did you read transcripts of your interview with the detectives on February 15th, 2020?
I believe so. Hold on. The interview was, yeah, I did.
And you watched body-worn video?
Yes.
About-
Not yesterday or this trip, the trip before
Okay, and when was that trip before?
when we had the other hearing.
Okay, so that was in 2021.
Yes.
So prior to the preliminary hearing, you had an opportunity to look at body-worn video,
Yes.
and you got to observe what you said to police officers
Yes.
throughout the evening of February 15th. Is that correct? Or the early morning hours of February 15th?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall testifying at the preliminary hearing that
Pizza's here.
this is at the preliminary hearing in 2021, that you said you don't remember now as well as I did then a lot of things. This has been a little traumatic.
Yes.
And were you saying when you testified to that under oath in 2021 that your memory at the preliminary hearing was not as good as on the date this
I'm going to
event transpired?
vague as to what he was referring to in page of the preliminary hearing
Well,
transcript.
just in general, his recollection, his memory during the preliminary hearing wasn't as good as the day of the incident. Is that your question?
Yes.
Would that be a true statement, sir? That your memory is better on the date of the incident versus the day of the preliminary hearing?
For the most part, but there were things I remembered after the incident.
But were there things you remembered after the preliminary hearing?
I've obsessed over this so much, it's hard to remember what I've remembered when I've spent so much time thinking about this. It's hard to remember when, as far as timeline goes.
Right. So you put a lot of thought into this, trying to put the pieces together and figure out what happened.
Objection argumentative.
Sustain as phrased.
Would you say that have a moment.
I'm starving.
Would you say that you could be over processing in your head, but you've been thinking about this obsessively?
Vague as to context.
Well, I don't know what you're referring to, counsel.
Well, do you recall having a phone conversation with detectives on February 20th, 2020?
I don't know the exact date it was. There was a couple conversations, throughout time. But
Okay, so around February 2020, do you remember talking to detectives and telling them that I could be over processing in my head, but I've been thinking about this for days, obviously?
yes, I remember something like that in the conversation.
And would you say that's been true in the intervening years since this incident has happened?
I'm
You've
going
been doing the same thing?
to take this over broad, referring to February 2020 and then referencing other dates.
The court will allow it.
You need me to
That
re-ask?
statement, sir.
You want me to re-ask?
No, because it's been a process. Like, it's really hard to explain. Like the first 6 to 9 months were really difficult, but COVID had just happened. I was basically alone with my thoughts for a year and being in lockdown. That was pretty close to when we came here for that first hearing. I was in really bad shape.
And since the preliminary hearing, you said you have not remembered any new details?
Vague as to new details.
Just details in general about the incident?
Yes.
Okay.
I did remember a couple more details.
And you testified to them today?
No.
Let me ask you this. The first officers who arrived at the scene, did you tell them that you heard muffled screams?
I assume so. I don't remember exactly word for word what I told the officers.
So
Then.
it's your recollection that you did tell them you had heard muffled screams?
Objection, misstates the testimony.
All right, to sustain as phrased.
So you don't know whether or not you told them?
I don't remember how I told them.
Okay. Did you tell the first officers who responded that Amie was yelling the entire time? She was upstairs yelling when I ran out of the house.
Yeah, I don't remember that specifically.
And today you testified that she was not screaming the entire time. Is that correct?
Yes.
The second responders that came, did you tell them that you heard muffled screams?
I don't
I'm
even.
going to object if he was asked these questions.
Well, the question isn't whether he was asked the question, but whether he told them. Whether it was because of a question that was posed or he told them on his own. Doesn't, the court will allow it.
There was a lot of questions from a lot of people. I can't remember specifically. I remember in general telling them what had happened several times to different people.
And you recall specifically telling them there were muffled screams?
No, I don't remember specifically telling them in those words. I just don't. I'm sorry.
Do you recall saying several times throughout your encounters with law enforcement on February 15th that Amie was screaming the entire time and you heard her screams as you ran out of the house?
Compound as to various law enforcement officers.
Court will allow it.
It sounds like you're asking me the same question over and over, but I don't remember telling them specifically that I heard her screaming the entire time. I just don't remember saying that specifically.
And your recollection today is that she was not screaming the entire time?
Objection, argumentative.
No, overruled. Is that your recollection today, sir?
Yeah, no, there was like a one period where it was like dead silent for a little bit. Like, and I'm pretty sure I told the detectives that too.
Gosh, stop with the freaking.
If I asked you, did you tell the detectives that, what would your answer be?
My answer would be, I'm pretty
Vegas
sure I.
told them what?
Told them that she was screaming the entire time?
Yes,
Oh, you were going back to that?
yes.
I just told you. It's asked and answered that. I don't remember specifically telling them that,
He said,
but I could have.
Okay. But if that's what you told them, your testimony today contradicts that, correct?
Right,
Argumentative.
that's been asked and answered. He stated, as he sits here today, she wasn't screaming the entire time. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that's
All right.
correct.
That's the one.
Thank you. And with the muffled screams, you have no specific recollection of telling any officer or detective on February 15th that you heard muffled screams?
I can't recall like exactly how I described it to the officers at that time. I could have said muffled screams. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Did you tell any of the officers or detectives on February 15th that you heard the sound of a plate breaking?
And what time, what date was that?
February 15th.
Okay, are you
Over and
referring to the phone call I had with the
I'm talking
detectives?
about the date, the morning of February 15th, where you were woken by Amie
Okay,
screams?
okay, I'm just bad with the date, the timeline part. No, I didn't remember that for a couple weeks.
right in the microphone.
And who was the first person you told about hearing something break when you remembered a couple weeks later?
It was Robert Koshland.
And after you spoke to Robert Koshland, that's when you called the police?
Yeah, I didn't think it was that important. And Robert felt it was and told me to call the detectives and tell them.
And isn't it true that on February 20th, the date that you called the detectives, that was the first time you ever told the detectives that you heard anything like choking?
I don't remember. I just don't remember.
But your testimony today is that you heard choking on February 15th.
Yeah, and I believe in the 911 call, they cut me off as I'm saying it.
Oh, I didn't hear that. So,
Well, they talked about it.
Transcript.
So when the 911 operator asked you if an ambulance was needed, you said no.
I said I didn't know.
You didn't know. But if somebody were being choked, wouldn't you think they would need medical attention?
Section argumentative.
The level of physicality you were describing, did it cause you to believe that Amie was being harmed?
Yeah, it did. It did.
And so you weren't convinced that she might need an ambulance?
I was just flipped out, wanting them to get the cops there. I don't know what to tell you. You know, I was just, I could have been thinking better. Sure.
You were in a state of panic, is that true?
And shock. Yeah.
And panic?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about.
It's like the same 3 questions over and over and over and over. And it's all stuff that's like nitpicking stuff. It's not even stuff that matters.
You told several officers on February 15th that you were in a panic, is that correct?
I don't specifically remember that. I could have.
And so far, we've seen a 3D recreation of Amie Harwick's home.
Yeah.
Other than the scale, does the 3D rendition of 2086 Mound fail to include outside foliage and furniture and everything else inside the house,
You mean outside the house?
outside and inside?
I didn't get a good look inside, but yeah, there's missing foliage on the fence on the outside.
Okay. And the trees near the balcony, are those also missing?
I can't remember.
I believe there's been another copy of this, and I'm gonna mark this as defense name, a defense next in order.
Good. E?
So you testified previously that this is the back door that leads to your living area,
Yes.
and that shows the staircase that goes up to the living room area.
Yes.
Defense next in order, Your Honor.
Beth?
And is this showing that same staircase from the landing in the living room area?
Yes.
And you can see it has a low ceiling as you descend the staircase.
Actually, what you're capturing is just where the low ceiling starts, about halfway or a little more down. It's actually pretty high, right after where you can see. I don't know if you want me to point at it, but that lip at the top.
Yes.
You have a
After
pointer
that.
there, sir?
Yes. After that, it's pretty high.
Okay. So, but the stairway has a low ceiling.
No, about the last third to half of the stairway has a low ceiling.
And when you ascend the stairs, is this the landing area?
Is that G?
Defense G. Thank you.
As you ascend, yes,
And what is this at the top of the stairs?
it's a statue.
It's a statue? And was that statue present on the evening of February 14th and the morning of February 15th?
It was.
Was this jacket also hanging there?
Yeah, I assume it was. I didn't notice it until like the next day or two.
Defense next in order, H.
HS.
I'm showing you a screenshot from some body worn video.
Yes.
As you can see the date there?
Yes.
3/5/2020.
Yes.
Is that the date that you did a walkthrough with detectives of 2086 Mound and described for them what your recollections were from the date of February 15th?
I can just assume so based on the date on the photo.
And does it appear to you that in this frozen frame of the body worn video that you're recreating screaming up the staircase?
Yes.
So would this be a fair depiction of you screaming up the staircase, Amie?
I can't remember if that was Hey Motherfucker or Amy.
Okay, so you basically were in the same position for each of the screens.
I don't remember.
Amie for Justice just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Amie for Justice. Jin Jin Pookie, 80s Music Man, Dream Landry, City Kitty 865, and Carlar were gifted memberships by Amie for Justice. Thank you, thank you.
So, this would be defense
You're fine.
I. Thank you. So, showing you defense I, is this the same dummy that is at the top of the staircase leading from your living area?
Yes.
And so this is the staircase that leads up to Amy's living area.
It is.
And here is another photograph showing the same staircase.
Is that Jay Thompson?
Yes, thank you. This shows the same staircase leading up to Amy's living area from another angle.
Yes.
And I'm going to point to something here. Do you know what this is here?
Yeah.
What is that?
That's a camera.
A camera? So it's like a Nest or Nest camera.
Yes.
And here for the record,
I'm pointing to, there's like an antelope head, and if you go down about a little bit, there's like a dark object that looks like it's a figure 8 shape.
sort of in the corner of the roof, the ceiling.
Yes.
Uh,
And when police officers arrived and as they talked to you that evening, were you making them aware that there was Nest video to be retrieved to help them in their investigation of this case?
I can't remember exactly when it came up, but I do remember by the morning with the detectives talking about it, making sure that they knew when we're working on that.
I'm sorry, what?
That they knew when we're working on that.
So you felt it was important that law enforcement know that there was Nest cameras operating at that time?
Yes, I just remember.
Objection Foundation operating at that time.
Well, there were cameras at that time, whether they're operable or not. So I was just standing with respect to that, but why don't you rephrase your questions?
Were you aware of whether or not they were operating?
Not at that moment, no.
But in the days prior to this incident, were you aware they were operating?
They've been operational since I've lived there.
So you have Amie never told you anything about them not functioning properly?
Objection calling for hearsay or negative hearsay.
So sustained negative?
Well,
But the sustained on hearsay, I don't know about negative, but here, sustained.
So do you have any reason to believe that the Nest cameras were not operating?
Objection Foundation.
Sustained.
So as far as you know, the entire time you lived there, they were operating?
I actually think they were out a couple times. But they did operate. She had sent me video.
She had
Of
seen
them.
video in the past?
Yeah.
And was it within like a week of this incident?
I can't remember.
All right, let's take a morning break, if you will, for about 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
Judge's like, I'm over it. Y'all are annoying me. I need a
5
cigarette break.
days after the detectives and leave a voicemail message for them.
I did.
And do you remember what you said in that voicemail message 5 days after their first interview?
I think that's the one where I remembered that when she was screaming, she wasn't moving or being jarred or jostled, or it could have been the one where I remembered the plate falling, or what I thought was a plate falling.
With looking at a transcript of that voicemail message, would that help you
That
remember what you said during the voicemail message?
it would help me remember which call it was.
May I put you on it?
Yes.
And this is the transcript of the voicemail message on February 20th, 2020. Just wrap up page. Just read it to yourself. Let me know if that helps you remember. Okay?
Yes.
Does that help you remember what you left on the voicemail for the detectives?
Yes.
And what did you say at that time?
That was after that. I remembered the sound waking me up of what I thought was a plate falling on the floor.
Did you say, I don't think it's going to be any new information or anything to help, but after seeing the door and stuff, and just yesterday, it occurred to me that I remember while I was being woken up by what sounded like a plate dropping, and then somebody walking around upstairs. Is that what you told him?
Yes.
So you didn't know if that was helpful or not, but you thought you'd leave that for the detectives.
Yeah, Robert. I wasn't even going to tell them. Robert was the one that told me I should.
Then did the detectives call you back?
Yes.
And did they interview that day, 5 days after the murder?
Yes.
And during that interview, well, counsel's been asking you, when did you say anything about choking? During that interview, at the very beginning, don't you tell the detectives 5 days after the murder that she was being choked?
What's happening? Oh, I forgot because I'm on.
Object to the term murder, Your Honor, that's a question for the jury.
Because I'm on Chrome. Hold on, let me swap to.
Sustained.
Killed after her death.
Her death.
After her death, 5 days after her death, did you tell the detectives that she was being choked?
Yes.
Did you say specifically, I think because when I yelled up her name, I think you put her to the ground as quickly as he could and started choking her.
This, Your Honor, this does not.
All right, he stated that he stated that he did, counsel.
Counsel asked, making it seem that this is the first time he's talking about the choking, so I'm trying to rehabilitate.
Does that include the choking?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So
This was on February 5th, Your Honor. I was talking to him about February 14th and 15th.
Well, that
I mean,
wasn't
he was
clear,
talking
but
about February, Mr. Apple was talking about February 20th, and I'm talking about, I've limited my questions to February 14th and 15th.
there's an inference that he's saying this for the first time based on the question.
go ahead.
Did you state the following? I think he put her to the ground.
Your Honor, this is improper, you should be asking the
They
witness
fight.
what he told them, not reading from.
I think he did. Let's get to the choking part of it. If it's in there, get pinpoint if you would.
What page are you?
This is on page 2 of the February 20th, 2020 transcript. It seemed that
Okay, hold on.
this is the first
Because
time he's talking about the choking, so I'm trying to rehabilitate.
Does that include the choking?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
This was Mr. Apple.
did you state the following? I think he put her to the
Your
ground.
Honor, this is improper, you should be asking the witness what he told them, not reading from.
I think he did. Let's get to the choking part of it. If it's in there, get pinpoint if you would.
What page are you?
This is on page 2 of the February 20th, 2020 transcript. line 14.
The
I
The
think
Murdoch
I think he
stream?
put her to the ground as quickly as he could and started choking her. Okay? I could hear her choking. But, Detective, but, you say, does that make sense? Detective, wait a minute. You heard her choking? Answer, yes, I heard her choking. So did you say that on February 20th, 2020 to the detectives?
Yes.
At the preliminary hearing, on September 20th, 2021, when you were examined by both the prosecution and the defense, did you state, when asked by the prosecution, can you describe the sounds you heard after you called out to her? Did you answer? This is, I'm sorry, at page 64 of the preliminary hearing transcript, volume 2, September 20th, 2021, line 17, at page 64.
64 of volume 2.
Yes. September 20, 2021, page 64, line 16 to 22. Ready?
Yes, what was the question?
Is this your statement about what you heard at that time of the preliminary hearing? Question by the prosecution. Can you describe the sounds you heard after you called her out? Your answer sounded like two bodies hitting the floor. Question, why would you say that? Answer, because it was two thuds, one after another, one right after the other.
No, this is improper redirect, because this is not something we were into.
All right, it's sustained. All right. Go ahead, Kim.
I'm looking at the following page, page 65, line 16.
Take a look at it, Kim.
Line 16.
All right.
Question by the prosecution. Can you describe the sounds that you heard? Answer, it sounded like a female choking. Question, why would you describe it like that? Answer, because it just sounded like a female choking. It sounded like Amie choking. Was that your answer about what you heard?
Your Honor, part of that answer was stricken by the court at the preliminary hearing, and counsel just read it into the record.
Well, if that's the case, I don't know. I don't have that in front of me.
That is the case.
All right.
May we approach?
Yes.
The Murdoch stream, I'm working it out right now. I think I'm going to do it in maybe 2 weeks from today, maybe. And I've got Tinsley.
Mr. Herman, was your
Mandy
statement
Powell.
at the preliminary hearing on September 20th, 2021,
Not
that
Powell.
because it sounded like a
Mandy
female
Powers
choking?
Norrell,
Yes.
and one more.
And now, when the police officers first saw you that night, did you have any blood on your shirt?
I believe I did.
So if you have blood on your shirt, you're telling them someone just attacked your roommate. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Have these officers ever met you before?
No.
And you have blood on your shirt?
correct.
And do they bring that up, that you have blood on your shirt and you're saying something happened to your roommate?
Yes,
Yeah, she's awesome.
Now, you said Amie was trying to reinforce the actual French doors that were later broken?
Objection, this states the testimony.
I don't know. Is that correct, sir?
I said that I overheard her asking the handyman to reinforce the French doors,
All right.
Which French doors?
the front ones that were damaged.
And the body worn video, have you been able to see the body worn video when the police officers first arrive and have contact with you?
Yes,
And does that body worn video show the TV, the condition of your TV?
yes.
They gets to time, Your Honor. that-
Yeah, why don't you clear that up?
Well, at the time that the officers come into the property and go with you into your room, are you able to see the TV, how loud it is and so forth?
It wasn't making any noise, but I saw it was on.
Here.
Did Amie ever tell you how physically large was her ex-boyfriend that she was afraid of.
Yes.
What did she say in that regard, as far as his
Objection,
physical?
Your Honor, beyond the scope.
It's just a-
When officers arrive at the scene and they're first interviewing you, are you the one directing the interview, or are they asking specific questions of you?
That are asking specific questions.
Or did they tell us everything you know right now?
Objection, asked and answered.
Right, he said that they were directing, were they directing by questions they were asking, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I have nothing further.
Recross?
Just briefly, Your
All right.
Honor. Mr. Herman, is it your recollection that the TV was muted at the time that you heard the screams?
No, just that when I watched it on the body cam video, I guess, I didn't hear it on, and it looked kind of like a screensaver.
Okay, so you're not aware of whether or not the audio was on at the time this incident
No.
occurred and you heard screams?
No.
Thank you. Nothing.
I would
Anything
ask-
based on that question?
Not based on that, but I would ask to briefly reopen on questions that was asked that I did not go into.
You mean, when asked on cross,
Yes.
the initial cross?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Counsel asked you whether you met with the prosecutors recently and whether you reviewed video recordings. Is that correct?
Correct.
Were you told what was the purpose of you having to review recordings back from 2020?
Just to help refresh my memory.
Has anyone, myself, the detectives, ever told you this is what we need you to testify to?
Absolutely not.
And your interviews with the detectives, back on February 15, 2020, they were recorded.
The initial interview, yes.
So when they first met you, they recorded that interview,
Yes.
and they recorded some subsequent interviews.
Yes.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
No.
All right, so you may step down.
Let's do can we do?
That poor guy.
Can we approach you?
You want to start 1:30 with this, or is it something you
We
can,
can start at 1:30 with reading.
is that you have readers, right?
Yes. Actually, we may do it right now.
That's fine. All right. You have a copy?
That poor
Is this
guy.
the witness who was supposed to testify tomorrow?
Yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
as I advised you, ladies and gentlemen, what's trying to happen now is kind of a recreation. This is a testimony that occurred
Oh,
by a representative of the FBI. And so someone's going to assume the role of that person, how they testified at the preliminary hearing, rather than that person being here tomorrow. That's the one I explained. All right. So you're assuming the role of the agent?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay.
okay. Only in a Hollywood trial do you have it where, okay, you're going to assume the role of the agent and you're going to read this part and you're going to read this part. We'll get to it. But before we do that, I want to, because all they're going to do is read. This part's kind of boring, but because the person's not actually there, but it's just, this is them reading the testimony about how they tested the syringe and all that. All right. But real quick, before we get into this, I forgot, because I told y'all I would give you the background information stuff. I put it on the podcast, and I'll probably have the podcast episode out either later today or tomorrow. But some of the background information I found on them, there were some cool things that I found about Amie that I didn't know before. I knew she modeled and stuff like that, and like she had been in like TV shows and stuff like that, kind of like as an extra, and that she was like a dancer, not like a dancer, but she was like a go-go dancer. And by dancer, I mean a stripper. I meant that came out wrong. I meant like when I say dancer, I didn't mean, anyway, it doesn't matter. She was a go-go dancer. They had talked about her being a dancer before and having a dance background, but also, how cool is this? She was a fire eater. How cool is that? Hold on. Let me show you this. Amie Harwick, fire eater. This is so cool. And I guess like she was like really freaking good at it too. And look how cool this is. Wait, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it goes. Look how cool that is. But she was like, she would charge like big bucks for it. Like she was actually one of the ones that was apparently pretty good at it. I think that's kind of cool. So she did that. Yeah, the part of the FBI is being played by. That's exactly how this whole next part goes. So the like modeling gigs and the dancing and the stuff like that she did, she worked those jobs, and that's how she paid for school. She put herself through school, which says a lot about, you know, because I mean she has her bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. So she's a smart cookie, and she's beautiful and talented, and I'm just so impressed by her. All right, let's see. And then she became a licensed therapist, published her first book in 2014. Now, when her and Gareth split up, apparently like every few years, there would be some kind of random thing that would happen. Like when she became a licensed therapist, she got a job as a family therapist. And there were and she was a Playboy centerfold. So there were, when she became a licensed therapist or whatever, there were some naked photos that were sent to her employer, and she lost her job because she was a family therapist and she lost her job. So that's what made her get into the like sex therapist thing, because it's, you know, she didn't, the whole thing is like she could do all that without, you know, judgment and stuff. So, but I mean, look, she was and I don't want to hear anybody say anything bad about Playboy. She did her thing. Like, if I look like that, you know, you couldn't keep clothes on me either. I'd be walking around here with nothing on but, you know, some pearl earrings and what God gave me. So I don't want to hear any bad talking about it. To each their own. She did her thing and she put herself through school. But those pictures were sent to her boss, and she lost her job as a family therapist. So she got into this industry, which ended up being good. She did a lot of good in this industry. That organization that she worked with provided, you know, suicide prevention sources and help, you know, to people who needed mental health, you know, resources and help that didn't have access to it. So good for her. You know, she did a lot of good in the world. And Gareth over there was a software engineer and a freelance photographer, and then also tried his hand at being a stand-up comedian and got booed off stage. I read some of his like jokes and stuff, and he was not a funny dude. Of course, when you look at him, does he look like he would be funny? No. So in her court documents from the first time, she described his pattern of stalking and harassment and violence. And between 2011 and 2012, he had broken into her apartment, you know, choked her, suffocated her, pushed her against walls, kicked her, dropped her to the ground, like with force, force restrained her, slammed her head in the ground, punched her with a closed fist, and all these things. And he would tell her that he was just doing it because she made him so mad. And then what finally got her to he pushed her out of a car on the side of the highway, and it injured her back. So she called 911, and then she filed for a protection order. The request was dismissed. But that could be because she didn't follow up. We don't know. But it was dismissed. It never went to court. And then it was 9 months later, there was another assault where he like pulled her out of a car or something and like assaulted her, left her with a bloody nose. She filed for a protection order again. And then that time one was put in place. So that same month, he broke into her house, allegedly, multiple times. But there was one time where he smashed a bunch of like picture frames and stuff on her door. And then he told her it's only going to get worse. So the protection order lasted for, I know I think I read in California, they can only last, I believe this is what I read. If I'm wrong, Lord, bring on the hate mail. But I think that I read that the kind that she had, it will only last for 5 years. So I don't know if hers was a 5-year one or if it was less than that. But regardless, it expired. She did not go to court to get another one. But she said that he had like from what I read, he had not come after her again necessarily during that time, but every once in a while, like every few, like every year or so or whatever, like something would pop up and there would be, like a hate campaign online that was like anonymous, or like those pictures that got sent to her boss and stuff like that. So there were things that she thought could be him, but it wasn't proven. But overall, he left her alone until he ran into her, or they ran into each other at the award show. So that was the background that I found. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead. All right, now the role of the FBI person. This part's kind of boring, but they're really just reading transcripts.
Maybe.
So, oh, and the Murdoch stuff. I have Mark Tinsley and Mandy Powers. Nora will be on with me, and there's one more that I'm waiting for confirmation. I'm going to do a stream with them in 2 weeks, and we're going to go over the Murdoch stuff. This is not live. They won't let them play this live. This is the one from last week, and they've been on a long vacation because of Labor Day and COVID.
The agreement is that the testimony that we're about to present for Dr. Maureen Bradley would be as if she were here testifying to the same.
Right. Is that stipulation yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that stipulated?
Yes, it was on the record, yes. You may proceed.
And does the court want me to read the part of the clerk and court? I'll read those parts too then?
Yeah, as long as you use different voices. No, go ahead. That's all.
The clerk, called as a witness by the people, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. The clerk can please state and spell your first and last name for the record.
My name is Maureen, Maureen Bradley, Bradley.
The court, Dr. Bradley, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The court, let me provide you with some introductory instructions, which I hope will be of assistance to you. Please try to make yourself as comfortable as you can, because it is so difficult for us to hear and understand each other because of these masks. Please try to speak as loudly as you can in the direction of the microphone.
Okay.
The court. And while you're speaking, please speak slowly. Should you be asked a question that calls for a yes or no answer, please use those words rather than slang or shaking your head. Please wait for a full question to be asked.
All right, we don't need them to read this
Thank
part.
you, Your Honor.
The court. Is all that okay?
Yes.
The court, Mr. Avila? Mr. Avila, thank you. The court, you're welcome. Direct examination by Mr. Avila. Question. Dr. Bradley, what is it that you do for a living?
I'm a forensic examiner chemist at the FBI laboratory.
And can you briefly describe what is a forensic examiner with the FBI?
I analyze items of evidence that is submitted to the chemistry unit of the FBI laboratory by law enforcement agencies, whether it be the FBI field offices or state and local police departments. And in analyzing items of evidence, specifically in the last 7 or so years, I analyze drugs, pharmaceuticals, bank dye chemicals, general unknowns, and pepper spray. Again, I analyze those items of evidence, write a report of my findings, and then testify as necessary.
This is all about her testing
Thank you.
that syringe.
How long have you been working as a forensic
how they've
examiner with the FBI?
Found out it's
Approximately.
nicotine.
Approximately 22 years.
Now, can you briefly describe your education, your training, and your experience in chemical analysis?
I received a bachelor's degree from the College of St. Rose in Albany, New York. I received a master's and a PhD in analytical chemistry from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. For a period of time of about 5 years, I worked in an independent testing laboratory that was a material testing laboratory in Schenectady, New York, and then I began my tenure at the FBI laboratory in 1998. When I started my career at the FBI laboratory, I was a forensic examiner in training. I was trained to analyze items of evidence, specifically to document my analysis that I could be admissible in court, and I received specialized training in the types of materials that I analyzed, as well as specific instrumentation that I would use to analyze those materials. In my training, I took a number of oral examinations to demonstrate my knowledge. I took a number of competency tests, which were mock cases to demonstrate my ability to analyze these items and come to the correct conclusion. And I took a number of moot court exercises to demonstrate my ability to testify and explain my results in mock court settings.
Thank you. And now you mentioned that you would receive substances from other law enforcement agencies, which you would then analyze. Is that correct?
That's correct. We do not analyze items from the FBI field offices. We also accept items of evidence from state and local agencies.
Now, drawing you to the date of July 14th, 2020, on that day, did you receive a package that was sealed with a label of 21520 Harwick 3220933?
I did. I received that package, as you described it, through the normal course of business at the FBI laboratory. That is, as one of the examiner's chemists, case working units personnel, we don't actually physically receive evidence through the mail. We receive it through our evidence management unit. So I received that package through the evidence management unit.
And was that package a syringe holder labeled in part DR number 2006-06220?
Yes, it was.
And with a PID number 18 and a number 21?
Yes, it was.
And how would you describe, well, did you make a description of the item as a syringe with a cap needle containing amber to orange liquid?
Okay,
I
they're
did.
bad actors. Who else would you cast
And did you
that
take
would
a
make this
picture of that
entertaining?
syringe with that liquid?
Let's
did.
cast him and her.
Well,
in,
I have a.
who would
an
you put in
exhibit that
their
was at the
place to
preliminary
make this
marked
more
as People's
entertaining?
Exhibit 16. May this now be marked as People's 24?
Dale and Brennan.
Yes, and with that, we're going to go ahead and break, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a good lunch. We'll see you back at 1:30, if you will. And for the record, the reader, what is your name, please?
The reader.
N-E-G.
The reader. Who would y'all cast in their place to make this more interesting? I would do Will Ferrell and what is Dale Brennan? Dale and Brennan. What is Dale's? JT and Brandi.
Accept them as evidence, all right? Here we go. You want to read them at this time or not? Not yet?
No, not yet, Your Honor.
Okay, very good.
All right. I think we left off on page 51, line 25, if we could start there.
All right.
Question by the prosecutor. Looking at People 16, page A, can you describe to the court what is shown here? The top photograph is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
The
JT
top
would do the wig.
photograph is item 1, which is the
a good
FBI
one.
lab description of the syringe. The number 202000954. Number 1 is the laboratory number assigned at the FBI laboratory. So the photograph from the top is the syringe, item 1, described in my check-in notes containing this amber to orange liquid. The needle of the syringe is capped, meaning that it has a plastic clear cap that covers the needle. The bottom photograph is a close-up of the liquid in the barrel of the syringe. So if you look to the right-hand side, there's a black rubber plunger. That's the end of the plunger of the syringe. The middle is the orange to amber liquid, and then on the left-hand side is where the needle holder screws into the barrel of the syringe.
And would you describe this as a 3mm syringe?
Yes, it is a 3mm syringe.
And about how much liquid is in that syringe at the time you took these photographs, approximately?
There's approximately 1/2 a milliliter in the syringe of liquid.
Now, aside from receiving this syringe, did you receive some information from the law enforcement agency as far as the conditions in which this syringe was found?
I did. For each submission that comes into the FBI laboratory, there is a written request that comes in with the evidence that accompanies the evidence. So in that incoming communication, which was actually through the FBI field office in Los Angeles, there was a brief description of the crime as well as where the syringe was taken from.
On August 25th, 2020, did you analyze that liquid in that syringe, which was now FBI item number 1 under the FBI number 2020-00954?
I did.
And can you describe to us how you analyzed the liquid?
I removed the liquid from the syringe and put the liquid into a test tube. I then characterized the liquid in my notes. And if you could follow, I'd like to take my notes out.
The court, if that will assist you,
Yes.
the court, you may reference them. Do counsel have a copy of the notes?
What?
Ms. Bernstein?
Yes.
Ms. Bernstein, yeah. Mr. Avila, yes. The court, okay.
Thank you.
I was gonna say he looks pale, but
Ms.
I
Bernstein,
guess
did you read that?
I'm behind. What page are you
that's
on?
to be expected.
54, line 17.
I believe so, if it's a 2-page handwritten document.
She's like
The court.
line.
Is that what it is, Dr. Bradley?
There is also an analytical data that you should have 2 pages of handwritten notes, photographs, evidence of analytical data.
Yes, thank you.
The court. People, yes? Mr. Avila, yes. The court, thank you. Look at the materials, Dr. Bradley, see if anything refreshes your memory. Then you can turn it upside down and then testify if you're able to from memory.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As I stated, I removed the liquid and then placed that liquid into a clean test tube. I then, as I said, described the liquid in my notes as somewhat oily, viscosity like water, amber to orange in color. And then I proceeded on to analyze the liquid. The first instrumentation that I used was a Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, abbreviated FTIR. I placed the drop of the item 1 liquid onto the ATR accessory of the FTIR and obtained an infrared spectrum of the liquid.
The court, excuse me. Ms. Jones, are you okay with these terms? The reporter, I'm fine, Your Honor. The court, thank you. Please. Mr. Avila, can you explain the FTIR method of analyzing substances?
Yes, I can. Each chemical is created based on different atoms that have bonds to one another. Some chemicals have a signature FTIR spectrum. Other chemicals do not have a signature spectrum because they are similar in structure to one another. So we can either look at a spectrum and get an idea of the identity of a compound if it has a unique FTIR spectrum, or we can classify it into a class of compounds. So something such as cocaine or methamphetamine, they have characteristic FTIR spectra that are unique to those chemicals. Something such as oil, like say vegetable oil or mineral oil, they would have very similar spectra. So we could use those compounds into the same class of materials of oils, but we couldn't differentiate one oil from another based on their FTIR spectrum. So I obtained the spectrum of the item 1 liquid, and I used a library search with thousands of spectra, and the most similar spectrum that was obtained in the library search was nicotine. Then I obtained a nicotine standard from our reference collection, and I analyzed that nicotine standard also by FTIR.
Let me stop you there. Is the FTIR method a generally accepted method of analyzing chemicals in the scientific community?
Yes, it is.
And how long has it been used by the FBI to analyze chemicals, approximately?
I can't answer that question because I don't know how long,
Oh my
but
gosh.
I would estimate that the FBI has been using not necessarily FTIR because that's a newer technique, but infrared spectroscopy for a period of at least 40 or 50 years.
you discussed that you also submitted a standard. Looking here at page C,
So far, Kristen Wiig is going to be our FBI agent.
of this exhibit, people's number 16, but in court it's people's number 24. Can you tell us what is shown here?
Yes, this is the nicotine standard obtained from our reference collection.
And what is the purity of this standard as it's labeled?
As labeled, the purity is 99%.
What does that mean?
That 99% of that compound or that liquid is nicotine. The other 1% I can't attest to.
And how would you describe nicotine as a chemical? What would you say about nicotine?
Nicotine is a drug. It is a liquid, and obviously it's a chemical. It is not a drug that is a controlled substance by the Controlled Substance Act, as is heroin or cocaine, but it is a drug and it is a toxin or a poison.
Why would you say it could be a toxin or a poison?
It is a toxin or a poison because at high concentrations, it is toxic. It can be lethal.
And please complete your explanation how you analyze the sample from the syringe and the 99% pure standard.
So I obtained the FTIR spectrum of the item 1 liquid. Library searches indicate that it's nicotine. I get the nicotine standard. I run that the same way I have run item 1 liquid by placing a drop of an ATR crystal and obtaining the spectrum. And then using the software with the instrument, I'm able to compare the two different spectra to one another by using an overlay of the two spectra. So they do overlay well with one another. There are some indications in the item 1 sample that there are some light differences from the nicotine standard. So I proceed on to another.
Sorry to interrupt. The slightest differences, given your experience, do you know what they may relate to?
I do not. I did not. It wasn't evident to me what those slight differences were in the spectra, and I did not necessarily pursue that.
If you could continue with your analysis under the FTIR method.
So when talking about the comparisons and there's some slight differences, I did not pursue that. So I can't speak to what those differences are.
So ultimately, what was the result of the FTIR method for you?
So the item 1 contained nicotine. I proceeded on to a second instrumental technique to pursue the identification of nicotine.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
How many more methods are you going to use to determine whether the item from the syringe is nicotine?
In this scenario, I used 2 additional methods.
And were these 2 additional methods to confirm that the item from the syringe was nicotine?
These 2 additional instrumental techniques were used to identify nicotine in the item 1 liquid.
Can you explain the second method that you used?
The second method that I used is DART mass spectrometry. The DART standards for direct analysis in real time, and I use both item 1 liquid and the standard, the nicotine standard, and I introduce the liquid using a capillary tube into the instrument. This instrument provides accurate mass of compounds that are present in the sample, whether it's a solid or a liquid. I then introduce the standard to the instrument, and I use the instrument software to analyze the data and to obtain the accurate mass of the item 1, the compound in the item 1 liquid, and the accurate mass in the nicotine standard.
Is the DART method of analyzing and identifying chemicals, is that a generally accepted method in the scientific community?
Yes, it is.
So if you could, continue as to what you did with the DART method.
So as I said, I analyzed both the item 1 liquid and the nicotine standard, obtaining the accurate mass for the compound in both samples, and they were comparable to one another, meaning that the instrument produced the same result.
What does that mean, the same result?
Again, I'd have to look at my notes to get.
With the court's permission, the court, you may, please.
So as I said, the instrument will determine the accurate mass of the compound or compounds in the sample. So the item 1 liquid rendered a result of 163.123, and the nicotine standard rendered a result of 163.123.
How is that significant?
So the accurate mass of the compound present in item 1 is the same as the accurate mass of the nicotine standard. There is also a theoretical mass of nicotine that is calculated, and that value is 163.123.
And what else did you do to analyze the liquid from the syringe?
So the last instrumental technique I used was the gas chromatography mass spectrometry. I dilated the item 1 liquid 1 to 100 in methanol, and then I diluted the 1 to 100 dilution again 1 to 100. And
Let me stop you there. Are you now mixing methanol into the liquid, the sample from the syringe, and also on the 99% pure standard?
yes, I'm using a methanol to dilute the sample. So to dilute, it's just what it sounds like. I'm taking 1 part item 1 and adding 99 parts methanol to it. So I'm diluting it down 1 to 100. And then I'm diluting that 1 to 100 solution, another 1 to 100 fold to ultimately be 1 to 100, 1 to 10,000 dilution.
Why are you doing that?
The reason I'm doing that is I don't want to overwhelm my mass spectrometer with too much sample. And I don't want to have the concentration of the solution be approximately 100 parts per million. So I dilute my sample 1 to 10,000, and I also dilute my standard 1 to 10,000 using that same serial dilution, 1 to 100, taking that, dilating that 1 to 100, the final being 1 to 10,000 dilution.
Okay. And how does that assist you in analyzing what is the identification of the liquid from the syringe? How does that process assist you?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
We're talking about the GCMS standard, right?
Yes.
And so maybe I interrupted you. After diluting the 2 samples, what happens after that?
So I take that dilution, I put it into my instrument, and the gas chromatography portion of the instrument will separate any components that are present in that liquid. So if I had a mixture of materials, I could separate out the different components in that mixture using the gas chromatography. That will pass the detector, meaning the components will pass to the detector at certain times, and then they will be analyzed by the mass spectrometer. So again, gas chromatography will allow for separation, and then the mass spectrometer will I think, obtain a spectrum and look at that spectrum and identify what particular component is. So in this run where I analyzed item 1 and the nicotine standard, I only obtained 1 peak for item 1 that was diluted 1 to 10,000 in methanol, and 1 peak for my nicotine standard that was diluted 1 to 10,000 in methanol. Both the item 1 and the nicotine standard had a retention time that was the same. And that retention time was 5.79 for item 1 and 5.79 for the nicotine standard. And that peak, or that component at 5.79 in item 1 was identified as nicotine, and that peak at 5.79 in the nicotine standard was identified as nicotine.
And this also, the GCMS method, is a generally accepted method to analyze chemicals in the scientific community?
Yes, it is.
And did you do anything else under this method?
Not by GCMS, no.
Did you do any further dilution or testing?
No, I did not. I did take a photograph of the nicotine standard, eloquent of the nicotine standard.
I'm sorry, the court reporter, I'm sorry?
Eloquent, ALIQUOT. I feel like I'm in a spelling bee.
The reporter, thank you. The prosecutor, looking here at People 16, photograph B, can you tell us what is shown here?
As I said, I took this eloquent of the nicotine standard, put it in a test tube, and that is the test tube on the right-hand side, and the item 1 liquid is on the left-hand side. And that, again, going back to the beginning of my testimony, is the item 1 liquid that was removed from the syringe and placed into a clean test tube.
Is there any reason, given your experience, for the different coloration of both samples?
There can be a number of possibilities as to why there is a difference in the colors of those two specimens. The one on the left is a larger volume of liquid, which can make something appear darker if there's more volume to it. Also, with chemicals, they could undergo environmental effects, if you will, such as oxidation. So that's another possibility. They could be two totally different chemicals that would render them to be visually different.
Does the color in itself, is that an indicator of a purity or concentration of nicotine?
It can be, but again, there's so many factors that can go into explaining that. It can't be the be all and end all to it.
If a liquid such as nicotine in the syringe were exposed to conditions outside, let's say outside of a laboratory, like it's out on a balcony exposed to air, can that affect the color of the liquid?
Again, as I testified, environmental factors could have an effect on chemicals, liquid chemicals, solid chemicals, and how they appear visually.
After using these three methods to analyze the liquid from the syringe, what was your opinion as to the liquid from the syringe?
That nicotine is identified within the item 1 liquid.
And given the use of these three methods and the use of a 99% pure standard, do you have an opinion or any reasonable inferences as to the purity of the nicotine in the syringe?
The FBI laboratory does not quantify. It does not determine a value or a purity to a chemical, or whether it be methamphetamine, whether it can be an oil, what have you. That being said, provided that 99% nicotine standard is 99% pure, an inference can be made that because the dilution of 1 to 10,000 for the same sample and 1 to 10,000 for the nicotine standard that was analyzed contemporaneously with the same sample provided comparable results, meaning the magnitude of the response from the instrument, as well as the ion ratios that are present that were evaluated, that one can infer from that it has a purity of, say, approximately, 90 to 100%.
The sample from the syringe.
Correct.
And I had sent you a stipulation. I emailed you a stipulation where I had indicated to whether it would be appropriate to say that the sample from the syringe was consistent with the 99% purity standard. Do you remember that?
I do recall that, yes.
You indicated that that was not a proper language to use.
Correct.
And now you're here to explain what is the proper language to use.
Yes. That statement on its own, without some caveats and some explanations, I didn't feel comfortable agreeing to it.
And back on September 3rd, 2020, did you indicate to the FBI liaison for the LAPD that although it's not explicit in your report, the liquid from the syringe appears to be relatively pure nicotine?
I did.
And is that consistent with your testimony today?
Yes, it is.
I have nothing further, Your Honor. The court, Mr. Avila, thank you. Ms. Bernstein, cross-examination, please.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Avila, please.
Yes.
Well, we've cast half the movie now. She's just going to read the part too. She's got to get her page, get her script ready.
Ms. Bernstein, Love, cross-exam, please. Thank you. May I take my mask off again? The court, if that will help you, yes. How many times have you spoken with Mr. Avila during the course of your investigation in this case?
I would have to ballpark, but I would say perhaps 7 to 12 times.
Did you keep notes of those conversations?
Some of them, yes.
Do you know if those notes have been provided to the prosecution?
Any notes that were provided to the prosecution should have also been provided to the defense. I'm not sure if I'm answering that question correctly.
The notes that you have of telephone conversations, would those be handwritten, or are those detailed in typewriting, lab notes? How would you memorialize those?
Those typically are in what is called our communication log, and those are generated through our what we refer to as our Forensic Advantage Electronic 1/-A.
Okay, so that would indicate how many telephone calls you had with Mr. Avila.
Those would be the recorded notes that are associated with the telephone call with Mr. Avila.
Do you remember the last time you spoke with him about your results on the telephone?
I do not recall.
But you spoke to him in person about your results recently.
I spoke to him this morning about my results, yes.
Okay, did you speak to him in person prior to this morning?
No, today was the first day I met Mr. Avila.
Okay, now, you did only a qualitative test, not a quantitative test. Is that correct?
Correct.
What is the difference between a qualitative test and what it is determining and a quantitative test?
A qualitative test is identifying or characterizing a material. Let's make it simple and just be a liquid. Identifying or characterizing as best I can of that liquid versus saying that in that liquid, I have component A at a concentration of whatever percent, plus or minus some uncertainty value, and component B with a certain percentage with an uncertainty value, etc.
So what is it you've just described? You're talking about the quantitative.
As I explained, the qualitative would be the identify or characterize. Characterizing, again, being to the best of my ability if I can't identify. So component A is in item 1.
Right.
Whereas in quantitative, I would state that in item 1, I have component A at a certain percentage, plus or minus my
We do
measurement of
1.25.
uncertainty. Also, component
Just for this
B
part.
is present in item 1 at a certain concentration with plus or minus measurement of uncertainty, etc.
So is it safe to say that quantitative tests test for the quality, and the quality in terms of how much of a substance is in the test, the item that's being tested, as opposed to qualitative, which is just identifying an object or an unknown quantity?
Can you repeat that?
Sure.
Because I'm not sure if I can agree with what you just that.
Okay, so when you do a qualitative test, you're identifying what an unknown substance is. Is that correct?
Yes, or identifying what is present within the unknown specimen.
Okay.
So there's some extraneous materials that aren't necessarily important that we don't report on, okay?
Okay, but it's basically just to identify what something is when you do a qualitative test.
Identify what something is or identify what is present in a sample.
Okay, and then there are quantitative tests that determine the amounts, the actual amounts of what you call analytes in a substance. Is that correct?
Yes. As you said, a quantitative analysis is determining what is present and at what amounts, or we typically talk in percentages.
I just want to see what it sounds like.
Purity is an important factor, like in drugs, if it's 100% pure or if it's 30% pure.
Do you know how many times you've tested a substance that is nicotine?
This is the first time that I've identified nicotine in a sample. That's not a true statement. I have identified nicotine in past analysis, but again, it wasn't necessarily important to the case. So just to give you an example, as I testified earlier, I analyzed bank security devices. So a bank security device is a device that is given to a bank robber during the commission of a bank robbery by a teller, surreptitiously, so it's hidden a stack of fake money. So that bank security device is made to go off when that device leaves the bank, and it explodes and gives off a red dye and also sometimes some tear gas. So the premise of the bank security device is to separate the bank robber from the money or render the money so that they can't spend it because now it's all dyed with red dye. So a bank security device may have gone off in a car. For example,
This sounds like the judge
and that dye
in
swapping
Fami.
is sent into the lab for analysis. I may identify nicotine in that specimen just because that person was driving. A person in that vehicle may have smoked cigarettes, and so I might identify nicotine. But that's not important to the case, so I'm not going to report it.
All right, but would it be fair to say this is the first time you've worked with liquid nicotine?
Yes, it is.
And have you ever seen liquid nicotine before it's touched the air?
No, I have not.
Do you know if pure liquid nicotine is a clear substance, colorless substance?
I do not know whether it is or not. I only have a reference standard to go by, but obviously that's been exposed to air.
Okay, the reference standard that you received, where did you receive that from again?
We have it in a reference collection at the FBI laboratory.
Do you know how it's stored?
It is just stored in a cabinet.
So, all right. So I've just put up the reference sample, which was previously marked as People's 16C. And
They're
is now-
reading so slow that it's really not hard to follow it too.
Now People's 24. Page C. Do you know whether this reference sample had ever been opened prior to you opening it?
I don't know firsthand. I could speculate that it was open prior to me using it because typically with the chemicals that we have, if they're not open, they'll have a plastic seal around the cap, and that wasn't the case in this case.
All right. And do you know how long the laboratory has had this particular item, which you used as a standard?
I do not know.
So it could be 5 years.
It could be.
Could it be 10 years?
It could be.
So this
I feel like
sample
I
has
should be
degraded
doing-
over time. Line
Like,
2 and 3.
they sound like
3.
sock puppets.
I don't know whether it is degraded or not.
Court, very quickly, how do you interpret the term degrade?
Degrade in this context, I would say a breakdown in integrity of the material.
The court, thank you.
You're welcome.
By Ms. Bernstein-Lev. And if the integrity of the material broke down, then it could be less than the 99% purity that is on the label.
That is correct.
Now, you said the FBI does not do quantitative tests.
If I said that, that was kind of a broad brush reply.
You were not asked to do a quantitative test, correct?
Correct. And the discipline that I am in, which is general chemistry, does not quantify. But for example, our toxicology group does quantify. So I apologize if that was a bit broad of an answer and not specific to my discipline.
Thank you. So if the request had been made, so if the request had been for a quantitative analysis, it would have gone to someplace else in the FBI and not to you.
No, I would have had a communication with a contributor, which in this case was the FBI field office in LA, the agent there, and I would explain to her that our group does not quantify. And if they were looking for a quantitation, they would have to submit the sample to another laboratory. It would go to another unit or subunit or discipline in the FBI lab for this analysis.
So no matter how the LAPD initiated a request to the FBI for a quantitative test, the FBI would never do a quantitative test?
They would ask for that, but they would have to get that analysis done at a different laboratory.
A different FBI laboratory.
No, at a different laboratory.
So the FBI would not do a quantitative test for the Los Angeles Police Department on this particular item?
That is correct.
All right. Are you familiar with, I assume you are familiar with, the Laboratory Operations Manual and Standard Operating Procedures, which include the FBI approved standards for testimony and report language utilized by the chemistry unit?
Yes.
And you're aware that the defense was supplied with a copy of that?
Yes.
And as outlined in the chemistry unit, FBI approved standards for scientific testimony and report language for general chemistry. Do you know that it says, quote, an examiner may not report the purity of a chemical, but can state his or her opinion about an estimated concentration of a chemical as long as it is clearly stated that the estimate is not the result of a validated quantitative measurement?
Yes.
Now, in order to do you know how one would go about doing a validated quantitative measurement for an item that by the library had been identified as nicotine?
I'm generally aware, but because we do not have methods that are quantitative, I may miss a step in the validated procedure, if that makes sense.
Do you know what a lethal dose of nicotine is?
I do not.
Were you aware that the LAPD had analyzed the liquid that was in item 1 prior to you receiving it?
I don't know if I knew that when I first received it or not. I don't recall.
Did you later become aware of that?
No.
So you have no knowledge of any testing done by the LAPD on this particular item?
As I stated, I may have known in the beginning of back in July of 2020, but I don't recall.
What is cotinine?
I do not know.
Do you know what the metabolites of nicotine are?
Not off the top of my head, no.
And you did not do any testing of the control that appears up on the screen right now to see whether or not it was in fact 99% pure. Is that correct?
I did not test the purity of the nicotine standard because, again, our group at the FBI laboratory does not do quantitation. So the number was not verified.
And you cannot say that either the standard that you used or the contents of item 1 contained 99% purity nicotine. Is that correct?
I cannot. That's correct.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
The court is Bernstein-Lev. Thank you. Ms. Shabla, I have no questions. The court, redirect, Ms. Shabla. Ms. Shabla, no, Your Honor. The court,
Nailed it.
Dr. Bradley, excused by the people. Ms. Shabla, yes. The court, for the defense?
Yes.
The witness?
Thank you.
The court, Dr. Bradley, I want to thank you for your testimony. Please do not discuss it or the facts of this case with any other witnesses in the case until we finish the hearing. Please step down carefully. You are excused and may leave.
Thank you for your help. Appreciate it.
Your Honor, I have in my hand a one-page document. It's a photograph.
All right.
It's,
She really,
people's
that really was
25
like the
with
judge in
syringe.
Thami's episode.
Has a
Not episode.
lab
Look at
numbers,
me with the Hollywood trial. Thami's
photograph on top,
trial.
2020-00954, number 2, item 2 as received, and then a separate photograph at the bottom that indicates item 2 as received, close-up of the cap. Without being marked as people's number 25.
My fingers are gonna be cramping later.
We have a stipulation. This can be marked as people's number 26, if I may read it into the record.
Yes.
The people in the defense stipulate that Dr. Maureen J. Bradley, an experienced forensic examiner and chemist with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, be deemed called as a witness, sworn to testify truthfully, and qualified as an expert in the chemical analysis of substances. That she would testify that on or about August 23rd, 2021, she was in receipt of a syringe identified by the Los Angeles Police Department as item number 13 for DR number 2006-06220. Dr. Bradley identified the syringe as item 2 for the FBI laboratory number 2020-00954. Dr. Bradley took photographs of this syringe as depicted on People's Exhibit number 25. Dr. Bradley then conducted a series of laboratory and chemical tests on item 2 syringe and residue within the syringe. The results of her examination were the following. Residues of yellow, viscous liquid were present in the cap of the item 2 syringe. The barrel, needle, and cap of item 2 were rinsed with methanol. Residues of delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, were identified in the methanol rinse of item 2. So stipulated? Thank you.
People stipulate as well?
Yes.
Okay, court will accept the stipulation.
People's number 27 has 2 stipulations. The first one is
This is the
the
second
FBI
syringe that
returned to
they,
the LAPD the
tested.
syringe that they had identified under FBI laboratory number 2020-00954 as item 1 and 2 vials related to the analysis of that syringe. The FBI returned to the LAPD the syringe that they have identified under FBI laboratory number 2020-00954 as item 2. So stipulated?
Prosecution as well.
Yes.
Court will accept that stipulation.
People call Officer Physics to the stand.
All right. What's the license?
FICEK.
Okay, thank you. Officer, if you would, approach the witness stand. If you could face my clerk there, please. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
all right, we're down to the last like 30 minutes. We're going to see the body cam footage.
Please state and spell both your first and last name.
My name is Daniel Feisik, spelled Daniel. Last name Feisik, Ficek.
All right, we need bald actors for him. Who you got? Who's going to play him in the movie? Bald with a mustache. What actors are bald with a mustache other than Steve Harvey? Steve Harvey could play him. Who else we got? Let's let them argue.
Counsel.
Can you please tell the jury what it is that you do for a living?
I'm a police officer for the Los Angeles Police Department.
And how many years have you been a police officer?
Approximately 6.
I want to draw your attention back to the date of February 15, 2020. What was your assignment on that date?
I was assigned to Hollywood Watch 3 Patrol. 6 Adam 15 was my unit designation.
And what does that mean that you were assigned to Hollywood Patrol?
Basically, I handle radio calls in a specific area within the Hollywood Hills area.
And did you receive a call sometime around 1:14 in the morning?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was the information that you received?
The radio call read as a screaming woman.
And did you have a partner that day?
I did.
And did the call provide you with any other information other than a screaming woman?
From what I recall, no, it was just a screaming woman at a residence.
And did they give you an address to go to?
Yes, I did.
And where were you when you first received this call?
I was at Hollywood Station.
And approximately how far is that from 2086 Mound Street?
I would say approximately 4 to 5 miles.
So how did you get to 2086 Mound Street?
I don't remember my exact route of travel, but we did use GPS. It gets confusing in the hills.
Did it take you a few minutes to get up there?
Yes, sir.
And why is that?
During the time of night, it was there's a lot of twists and turns up in the Hollywood Hills. And initially we did not use GPS because we believed we knew how to get there. And when we took a wrong turn, we used navigation to get there correctly.
And did you have a body-worn video camera on your person?
Yes, sir.
Did you activate it?
Yes, sir.
Did you activate it on the way to 2086 Mound Street?
Yes, sir.
And have you been able to review the recording of that body-worn video?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I have here a DVD labeled Officer Physic, dated February 15, 2020. That is by People's Exit Order number 28.
Right.
And I have a transcript. It is 38-page transcript. It is marked as 328A.
Yes.
And the video is about 51 minutes or so. May I pass the transcript? May I publish the transcript to the jury?
Howie Mandel, that's a good one.
And this time I'm only going to pass it out to one juror.
Yeah, I like the way you think.
Does it follow along?
Thank you.
Billy Zane, that's a good one too.
The court has a copy?
I forget that I can like skip these 10 seconds to get through all of their.
I should take a primrose. I did. Probably want to activate again. And then you're gonna make a right on Longview, I think. Yeah, right. Should be coming up. This is it. And then now there's gonna be on the first right. First right? Yep. 250, we're going. 2086. I think it's gonna be up here. Yeah, up here. Yes, sir. I can help you.
I'm going to pause it right here at 1 minute and 6 seconds of the video. Now, do you see the date at the very top corner? It says 2/15/2020.
Yes, sir.
Is that the correct date when this video is being recorded?
Yes, sir.
And now it says, as far as the time, it says 09:25 and 27. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why it gives that time?
We implemented a new body-worn video system since the time of this video, and during this time of the body-worn video, we were on Greenwich Village Mean Time, which is an atomic time zone.
So it's from that particular time zone, you have to calculate what that time would be in Los Angeles.
Correct, which is 7 hours ahead.
So then would this be 1:25 in the morning?
Correct.
So instead of that 9, you have that 1. It would be 1:25 in the morning.
Correct.
Going to continue playing the recording.
I know it. I heard it. She's screaming. She's thrown to the ground. I couldn't find my phone. I couldn't find anything.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so you have access to here?
No.
Is there anybody else inside the house?
My roommate.
Just your roommate by yourself?
Yes. Dude, I heard screaming. I don't know if that guy had a gun or a knife. I came running I couldn't find my phone or
So is there somebody else inside?
Yes. So I think there's
Okay, sir, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Calm down. Calm down. Other than your roommate, is there anybody else inside the house?
I don't know. No, I just heard her screaming.
Have
I
you called?
got thrown to the ground. I've been calling for her. There's windows open. He's answering nothing.
Let's get an additional unit. Yeah, I know, but.
We can if you want.
Yeah,
But we're gonna go in there.
Yeah, I know. 615, can I get an additional unit for
I
office?
have my keys in there.
Is there requesting additional unit to their 86 Mount Street?
So you were essentially locked out. Yes. I can hop the fence, but my keys were left in the house. I was in the middle of a sleep.
So why is this? Why can't we get in here?
Because it's locked. Because she came home and
Listen, sir. You need to relax a little bit so that we can get all the information, okay?
Okay.
He is, poor thing. He is so freaked
How
out.
are you planning on getting back in here?
I don't know. I guess hopping the fence and getting my keys.
Let me stop it right there.
I hopped the fence and I cut myself on that.
Just before we move on, looking at page 5, line 4, does this gentleman tell you that he heard screaming? It sounded like she got thrown to the ground.
Yes.
I continue to play the recording.
So you hopped the fence to get out as well? Yes. I couldn't I'm in the middle of sleep. I don't know how many people are in there. I don't know if he's got a weapon or what. I'm trying to knock on neighbors' doors. Nobody's answering. I don't have a phone. He was walking by. I have you don't have a lot of time. You're not by yourself in there, but I was supposed to get in.
Well, sir, so how are we supposed to gain entry into this place?
I guess hop the fence with me. We'll go around back. The back door's open. Let's go.
So where's your key at?
Inside, downstairs, the back door's open.
So you came out and came up this way?
Yes.
Hey, partner, we're gonna have to jump it. We're trying to find a better place that we can jump it. How long ago did you last hear from her? We're gonna have to go right here. Can you hold this? Dude, this is. Yeah, so we have a lot more gear than what you're wearing. Well, that'd be great if we can get. Nice. Yeah. Can you guys can you cut that? No, I just can't see where my footing is going. Sir, can you wait a second? I'm waiting for my partner. You need to calm down. Yeah, here, hand me yours too. It's like impossible. Watch out, there's a tree above you. With your head. Use it as a branch if you need to. Don't use this isn't solid. Here. You're good. You're good. 16:15. Advise the responding to still get a house of the fence. We're going to be at the rear of the location.
Can you pause it right there at 6 minutes and 10 seconds? At this point, you say on line 26 of page 7, 6815 advised the responding units that we had to hop the fence. We're going to be in the rear of the location. Who are you providing that information to?
To the additional unit that we requested, as well as any supervisors that were responding to the location.
As well as what?
As well as any supervisors that were responding to the location.
And when you met Mr. Michael Herman, who's on the video, how would you describe his appearance?
He was disheveled. He also had his shirt. He was wearing a white shirt with blood stains on the lower abdomen of the t-shirt, as well as like his chest as well.
Okay, did that cause you any concern?
I was concerned, yes.
How so?
Because we had very limited information based on the radio comments or the comments of the radio call. So we get there and he's saying that he lives inside, but no way to access it, and he has blood all over his shirt, and but no way to access the house. He's saying he lives there, no identification. So we were being cautious.
Let's continue playing the recording. Thank you.
Sir, come here. Come here. Relax. Take a seat. Take a seat. Oh my God. What was going on tonight?
I've been asleep all night.
Do you know if there's anybody else inside the house?
I don't. What happened to you?
Pause. Can I pause the video at 6 minutes and 44 seconds? Who's the person that appears to be leaning over what appears to be a body there on the concrete?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, there appears to be another man leaning over what appears to be the body of someone on the patio. Who's that other person that's leaning in asking questions?
That's my partner, Luke Edney.
I'm sorry?
Luke Edney, Officer Edney.
That's what we see on the video there?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Where's your room? Right here, right here. This is your room? Yes. Stay here. Listen to me. You need to relax. Okay, you're escalating the situation. You're making it worse for everybody. You need to calm down. Hey, we need to, where she's having a seizure. Oh, Jesus.
I paused it at 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Is that your voice saying she's having a seizure?
Yes, sir.
So tell the jury, because we can't see it on the body one. What did you observe at that point?
So I observed her head was tilted to the left, and her head was kind of tucked under her left shoulder, and she had very shallow breaths. There was also blood coming from her mouth, and her eyes were somewhat rolled back into her head.
And you mentioned the word seizure. What did you see in that regard?
Those symptoms are sometimes consistent with someone having a seizure. With oftentimes when someone has a seizure, they bite their tongue and blood comes out of their mouth.
Okay. Well, have you ever seen someone have a seizure?
Yes.
How many times?
Well over 30 times.
Okay, I'll allow the fact that it appeared that she was having a seizure. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll allow it like that.
Did she respond to you or your partner when you were asking her questions?
No, sir.
Play the video.
So it's inside here? We gotta get these keys. Where are the keys at?
Pause it. Now pausing it at 7 minutes and 38 seconds. Why do you have your guns drawn at this point?
Based on the information provided by the gentleman who lived there, Mrs. Harwick's roommate, stating that there might be someone upstairs, and just the totality of the circumstances. Tactically, we wanted to render the house safe prior to doing anything else.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna hold it here. Take a seat. You told me to stand over here. All right, I'm gonna hold. Go get that open, okay? I'm gonna. Okay. Yeah. We have an ambulance in route, okay? Do me a favor, take a seat.
Awesome. Now I paused it at 8 minutes and 20 seconds. At what point did you request paramedics or an ambulance?
My partner at the time requested an ambulance within seconds of contacting Mrs. Harwick.
Thank you.
Anyone else inside is LAPD, come out with your hands up. Hey, somebody pat him down, please. All right, somebody needs to stay with her, and then we need to clear this house. I hear voices, but I can't tell if it's TV or not. Yeah, I already did. Yeah, somebody needs to stay with them. Yeah. Hey, anyone else inside? It's LAPD. Come out with your hands up. All right, guys. Hey, so who's coming?
I paused it at 9 minutes and 27 seconds. Just looking back at line 17 of the transcript, you stated, "I hear voices, but I can't tell if it's a TV or not." What did you mean by that?
Based on my point of view, I heard echoing of voices coming from inside the house, but they were very low and mumbled. So I was just trying to use my senses to identify any other threats inside the house.
Did you eventually make it into Mr. Herman's room?
I did.
And was the TV on in that room?
It was.
And, okay, so I'm gonna be contact. Yeah. You're gonna be arresting team, okay, partner? You're gonna be less than lethal when it comes to it, okay? No, not yet. Hey, you're gonna be communications also, okay? Ready? This room, these two rooms are clear already. I hear voices, but I can't tell. I got an open room. There's a balcony to the top. Got couches. Looks like a kitchen to the right. Okay, so I'm gonna turn right. Partner, you come with me. Hey, podcast, you cover this side, okay? You cover straight ahead. Got it? I'm going. Hey, be advised, there's a lot of dummies. All right, let's do this. Hey, Cornel, come with us, dude. You guys hold that, okay? Or podcast, you hold that. Sweeney, come with us, okay? All right. We got a doorway to the right that goes to the kitchen, and to the left. So we're gonna go right. Sweeney, you hold left, okay? All right. Kitchen. It loops around. It's gonna go down to the staircase. It goes out back outside. Back down to them.
All right. The pause it at 10 minutes and 55 seconds. Do you see a door there at that point?
Yes, sir.
And is that a door from the kitchen leading towards the outside?
Yes, sir.
And is that door open?
Yes.
Did you open that door?
No, sir.
Did any police officers open that door?
No, sir.
So when you first see that door is open.
Yes, sir.
And it seems like it's wide open.
Correct.
Yeah. Hey, blue. Sorry, did you see me? All right. Hold on, we got to clear this corner. All right. Yeah, it's open. All right, this goes around to the front. All right, let's go up there, clear it, and go back to podcast season. All right. Really? He said he heard her screaming, right? Come on, you sweetie. Podcast, you sure light? Right here. Yeah, it's not the rest of the master. Okay. All right, so you guys can move up in unison. Yeah. Ready? On you guys. Just hold it. They're gonna move up in unison. You're good, podcast. Whenever you guys are ready, go ahead. Go back. Yeah, that's what it seems. You hold that. We'll get this. I got you. And then, looking clear with. That's so good. It's clear here. You see it? she's. Oh, we haven't cleared the whole house yet. Yeah, he's holding another.
Positive at 13 minutes and 40 seconds. You went into the balcony at that point. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you see anything on the balcony?
I did.
Can you tell the jury what you saw?
I saw a syringe with a dark brown liquid.
Your Honor, I have 3 photographs here. I guess you want people's next in order.
29.
29A, B, and C. Looking here at people's 29A. You recognize what's shown there?
Yes,
What is that?
that is the same syringe that I observed.
And is it on this photograph, is it in the same location where you first observed it?
Yes,
Looking at photograph 29B, is that a close-up of that same syringe?
it is.
And looking at photograph C, is that even more of a close-up?
Yes, sir.
And the way it looks here on C, the color of the liquid was not the color that you observed that morning.
Yes, sir.
And what did you think it was when you first observed it?
Objection, relevant, speculation.
What is that?
I believed it to be black tar heroin.
Have you seen heroin like that before?
Something similar, yes, sir.
All right.
And then when it's continue to play there.
Hey, Bart, there's a full.
I gotta go to the right, multiple problems to the right.
All right.
To the left and then
I'll go left.
I'm sorry to pause. You're telling your partner there's a full what?
Syringe. I was trying to express to him that there was a syringe because he hadn't made it up to the balcony. I was expressing it to him.
And what were you saying was full?
The syringe.
Oh, okay.
Got the door. Ready? I'm gonna open it. Ready? Clear. You can go for it.
You guys hear me? Is that over? No, this is here before.
Looks like urine, dude.
Pause it. All right. Pause it at 14 minutes and 21 seconds. You say looks like urine. What did tell the jury what you actually observed?
I observed a semi-dried puddle of what I believe to be urine due to the stickiness and the color just outside the bathroom and partly in the bathroom, and due to the smell as well. I believed it to be urine.
Objection, speculation, foundation. He said he believed it to be. He didn't say conclusively. Couldn't state that it was urine.
So based on the smell, you believed it to be urine?
Yes, sir.
Was there liquid also there?
Yes, sir.
And also you said it was sticky also.
Correct.
So in your lay opinion, you believed it to be urine.
Yes, sir.
Hey, partner, come here. Right here. Might be attempt suicide.
Oh, dude. So.
Has it? Why did you say in that part it might be a suicide?
Because I believe that to be some sort of controlled substance. I believe that she was possibly taking it and under the influence and possibly tried to end her life by jumping off the balcony.
Okay. That was your belief at that time?
Yes, sir, initially.
And your basis for that belief was just the limited information you had at that point?
Correct, sir.
It's a code for it for now, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're yeah. Next one.
He hasn't seen it, but he didn't know he was here. All I heard was a shout.
You heard a shout.
And a sheet fall. So right now, all we have is an possible attempt suicide.
It's just sketching me out. Yeah, but it's,
You said that you thought you heard something, right?
No, I thought I heard voices.
Well, how often do you think you hear them? Ransackers? Yeah, they have a lot of them. That's where the side gates are all locked, and they lock out and in. So you have to jump in to get out. Get all like.
I mean, we searched this place up and down, so.
She wasn't talking at all, right?
Not responding, she's just breathing. Yeah, it sounded like she was seething. I know, dude, he started to like, he was getting on my nerves, dude. Well, because what was tripping me out was because of the blood he had on him. Okay, so there's a. So this right here. It's on that side. It's on the a loaded syringe. So, sir, do you know her history of drug use?
She's sober. She doesn't drink.
She doesn't drink. She doesn't even drink.
She's sober.
So nobody in this house is doing drugs.
I smoke pot and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean that stuff?
I smoke pot.
That's it? Okay. So she's sober completely.
She's sober completely.
How sure of that are you?
I'm positive. I'm absolutely sure.
What is she? Just a roommate? How long have you known her?
A year maybe.
A year?
Yeah. I think she lived with her best friend. That's how we got.
So when you said you heard, did you hear other people's voices?
No, it just sounded like she was being handled. Like, I wasn't sure if it was more than one person, but I just didn't want two of us dead here, so I ran to go get some help. Couldn't find a weapon, couldn't find anything. Like, we talked about me getting a weapon because she saw somebody that she was had a restraining order against. She said that she didn't, but she felt like they were shot out.
Pause it right there. I paused it at 16 minutes and 39 seconds. Now, the body of Miss Amie Harwick, she's still there on the patio, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated that she, at one point, that she was breathing barely.
Yes.
And so why aren't any of you rendering some aid to her at that point?
Due to the initial belief of her falling or jumping off of the balcony, and based on how her positioning was, it appeared to be like a severe neck injury or a severe spine injury.
Okay, if you're going to step a second.
Yes. Now, are you trained to look, to arrive at certain situations and determine whether someone needs your aid as a police officer?
Yes, sir.
And are you trained also to see if someone has been injured?
Yes, sir.
And are you trained to provide first aid whenever possible?
Yes, sir.
And as part of that training, could you recognize when someone has sustained certain types of injuries?
Yes, sir.
And did you use that experience this time to do just a basic evaluation of Ms. Harwick of whether you could touch her or not?
Yes, sir.
And so what was it that you did?
We decided to not move her due to the belief that it would possibly injure her further due to our belief of a neck or spine injury.
And what led you to believe, based on your training, that she had some type of spine or neck injury?
Based on the way that her body was positioned, the way that her neck and shoulders were positioned,
Well, can
Let
you
us-
describe that a little more for the jury? Because it's not, you can't really see it on the video, but.
Yes, sir. So her shoulder, I'm sorry, her chin was tucked underneath her left shoulder very tightly, which is uncommon. Her shoulders were rolled.
Your Honor, outside of the background training period.
Okay, just describe what you saw. It was her neck was, you said it was under her left shoulder?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Go ahead.
Her chin was tucked underneath her left shoulder very tightly, with her shoulders rolled forward. And we believed initially to be a neck injury based on that.
You continue to play the recording.
Do you have an ID on you, boss? No, it's in my house. What's your name? Mike. Michael Herman. H-E-R-M-A-N. Herman? Yeah, H-E-R-M-A-N.
Has it?
First name?
Now, I paused it at 19 minutes and 09 seconds. There appear to be some now other individuals that are wearing yellow pants.
Yes, sir.
Who are they?
That is the rescue ambulance, sir.
Thank you.
Do you know your driver's license number? No. You get it here. Okay, but it's inside here, right? We can get it. What's the home address here?
2086 Main Street. You gotta be kidding me, dude. My kids are laying on the ground over there, like fucking beat up and they relax. Yeah.
How tall are you?
5'6".
What's your weight?
145.
Date of birth?
4/13/73.
What's the phone number?
704-340.
Slow down just for me. 704
340
340.
3063.
Did she have a boyfriend or anything like that?
She doesn't have a boyfriend. She's been going on dates.
That's it. It just cuts off right there. These their streams are really weird. They just will sporadically cut off. All right. So fun times. Fun times. That was really sad to hear him when he walked around that corner and you could hear how, you could hear how upset he was. And them telling him, you need to calm down. How many times have you ever calmed down because somebody said calm down? That's like the last thing you say to somebody that you want to calm down. Like the last thing. Marie Moss, 39 objections in less than 3 hours. That's insane. 39 objections in less than 3 hours. Wow. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, Marie Moss, where would we be without you? All right. I am so glad I have my internet back. We are back in business. This means that I can try to finish the podcast stuff. I've got it recorded. I just have to add the clips that I couldn't add while my internet was down. So I'll have the podcast episode of today and like the first 3 days. We've made it through the first 3 days of this. This won't be back on until next week. But I am going to, I emailed Dr. G to see if he can do tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then we'll see, what day. So I'll put a post on everything when we figure that out. And then and then I have some other stuff that we're going to look at. So this trial won't be back until Monday, right? Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And one of those days we're going to have Dr. G on, which I'm so excited about. So excited about. What else? The Murdaugh stuff, when I get the final guest confirmed, I will let y'all know. But we have Mark Tinsley and I'm already over the Murdaugh stuff. Okay. I posted on Twitter that I was going to do the press conference today, and I was like, them like making the accusations toward Becky is pot calling the kettle black. So like them being outraged that she would possibly do this is ironic because it's hypocritical. And I said, I don't like him. He's guilty of sin. I'm not going to like him. And I'm not going to, anything that they say, I'm not just going to take it at face value. I am going to, wait on all the information to come out. Having them file a motion don't mean anything to me. Like they filed other motions. Their credibility with me, gone. And now I'm getting attacked on Twitter by whoever, insignificant little morons, attacked on Twitter about how I don't even respect the trial process and like all this stuff. I'm like, is that what I said? Or do you just not know how to read? What I said was, I'm not going to listen to anything they say and just automatically be like, oh, well, Jim and Poot said this, so gotta believe them. No, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to just jump on the Becky's guilty bandwagon because those two clowns said so. No, I will wait and hear what comes out. I'm getting attacked on Twitter right now because I said that. This is exactly why I hate social media, and I would not be on it if it wasn't for all of a sudden accidentally getting a career started on social media. People will read something and they will only read it the way that they want to read it, and they will take from it what they want it to say so that they can pick an argument with you. Is that crazy? People are nuts. Blockity, blockity. Guess I've already blocked like 3 people. I'm like, I can give y'all a chance. Like, we can disagree, but don't come on my stuff trying to tell me what I'm saying and what I mean and what I don't. I'm over it. I feel like I have been so not like y'all are seeing a new side of Brandi because I'm telling you, I am over the BS. I am tired of constantly getting messages and emails and DMs and comments about this or that. And I tried so hard to censor certain things so that I don't piss anybody off. And I just don't give a shit anymore. I am going to tell y'all exactly what I feel because no matter what I do, I am not going to be able to please everybody. And I'm tired of having to try to filter myself in order to keep people happy because you're not going to be happy anyway. So, and if you are, you're not my people. Like if you can't like what I say or don't like what I say, that's cool. But if you don't like what I say and you want to attack me for it, you're not my people. Get somewhere. So I'm over it. And the people who are my people are going to be here regardless. And I am over the idiots. So if everybody on social media could be like y'all, be like our group. Because I mean, look at how many of y'all in here that I've disagreed with on things before. We're not an echo chamber. We look at things differently. But what I love about us is that when we look at things differently, we're not like, well, you're only saying this because of this, because of this. We're saying, oh, okay, you understand. Okay, I understand where you're coming from. I disagree. This is where I'm coming from. And that's how it works in here when we disagree. That's not how Twitter works. Twitter, what's that thing about how they say, you can say, And this is literally what's happening right now in the Twitterverse on my Twitter. Like you can say, oh, I like apples. And it's like, what? So you don't even like oranges and you think that, bananas are stupid and bad for you? No. Is that what I said? Hello, learn to read and then come back. Blockity, block, block, blockity, block, block. I'm not dealing with it anymore. I will keep on blocking and we will keep on being a supportive, loving family here. And when we disagree about things, we can still talk about it and listen to each other and not be assholes. Oh, I've got my cussy face on today and I'm sorry. Gosh, leave me without internet for 4 days when I haven't had to censor my vocabulary. I'm so sorry. I am just. They don't come to Twitter to read. They don't come to Twitter to read. You're exactly right, City Kitty. Exactly right. Y'all, if it wasn't for our community and trying to, keep things going here, that's why I wasn't on social media before. I mean, I had social media, but I didn't post a lot and stuff until I started doing this. Oh, people. Get somewhere. I'll try to remember that next time kitties are in earshot and I'm about to say yeah, that's my nanny always said that's the ladylike way to say it, is just say get somewhere. Angry brows. Look, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get next time. I'm just wait, when you put them on, instead of putting them on regular, don't you just twist them in a little bit? And then that's how they look. Yep. Angry brows are coming. You can't sit with us. There are some mean girls, and they ain't all girls either. And there's two separate little toxic groups. And what's funny is that both of these separate little toxic groups both pretend like they're not toxic, but anybody who actually knows them sees through them. So they're full of crap. Look at me with my honest sassy pants on. All right, y'all. I am so excited that y'all got to spend some time in our little 13th juror love group. This was amazing. I am so glad that we have internet back up, which means that I get to actually see y'all when I'm not trying to like hold my eyebrow like this so that I can see you, because I can't see anything on that little bitty screen. I appreciate y'all so much. This is y'all are my favorite. Y'all make me a happy camper. And you got Lucy down here being a lazy bum because she ate some pizza. Look at her. She heard me. She's like, what? Lazy? What'd you call me? Mods, y'all are the best. I appreciate y'all so much. I am really excited about our Murdoch stream. I'm going to start getting it together, and I think it's going to be 2 weeks from today, possibly. Don't quote me on that. And I'll have some of the top names in the Murdoch stuff. So it's going to be very exciting. And we're going to go over all of this stuff. And that gives me time. I want to look through all of this and do some digging and investigating. And y'all know how I do. So I am going to post as soon as I hear back from Dr. G. If we don't do Dr. G in the morning, then I have something else in mind, but I'm going to wait and hear back from him. Hopefully this afternoon, and I'll let you know if we're going to do him tomorrow morning or the following morning, and I will let y'all know. So y'all are the best. Thank you so much. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the gifted memberships, and welcome to our new members. We love you so much, and we are glad you're here. Kaylin, we love you, and we are all glad that you are okay. And tell Kaylin and her dogs are heroes, just for anybody who missed that conversation. That's all I got. Hey, there's a lot of people being buttheads today. So everybody go do something nice for somebody else tonight and don't tell anybody. Just do it to make your heart feel good and to make their heart feel good. Anytime people start making me angry like this and I start getting really frustrated, that's what I try to do. I try to like go do good in the world, and it makes my heart feel better and it puts me back in a positive place as opposed to the negative places that people will try to drag you to. So let's all go do something really nice for each other. I am going to sign off and take out this little monster to go get some fresh air and do her business, do her ladylike business. So that's all I got for today, y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you for reporting to jury duty. I love you all so much, and I will see y'all tomorrow.